And we're back.
Wait,
no,
what?
we're not. We're what? I'm
You're skipping ahead to halfway through the show.
This bodes well.
I don't even right now, folks. It's been a long day for me. How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com with your favorite show hosts, Ara Still.
Venerian.
And that was really lacking in gunpowder. that is the weakest Venerian that I've ever heard, and it really threw me off my game.
I admit it's been a week as well.
And we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week that was. But first of all, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server where you can talk to the hosts and other listeners to the show in real time. You can most easily access that by clicking the link in the video description underneath this video. Or alternatively, you can go to vtwproductions.com and click on the show logo from any of our recent show posts, which will also take you to the Discord server.
Yes, indeed. Incidentally, just checking the email box, and it looks like YouTube, out of completely nowhere, has started to actually send us the live notifications now. Why? Why do this?
Did we subscribe to ourselves?
I specifically told us not to subscribe to ourselves. Because we know when our show's live. We don't need the email.
Yeah, we're usually there.
Sometimes.
Let me just do this. Turn that off. How completely and utterly pointless. Okay. So, my week, I guess we'll just jump straight into it, has been a bit of a runaround, and really the coming weeks are going to be an absolute nightmare. Because of the insistence of yet another rodeo.
What is with you people in rodeos? My goodness.
We actually had one of our drivers ended up talking to the one of the head organisers about it the other day, and they're thinking, "Oh, it'll be great for you guys." No, it'll be a living hell. They don't realise that this event comes around. Everyone in town is tired of these sorts of things, so everyone just goes home and locks the door for the night.
Yeah, I guess that they have a simplistic idea of event equals stimulates local economy, therefore gives small businesses money.
Yes.
Like that's the entire extent of their calculus.
Yeah, they don't realise that event means locals stay home because locals don't want to deal with drunk cowboys. As it is, there are actually 0 events in the annual calendar which are aimed specifically for local people. Everything's aimed for the tourists or the cowboys. So they don't seem to realise that the locals are kind of jaded. Anyway, that's a rant for probably next week when I'm recovering from drunk cowboys. My week this week has been a few games, one in particular, but we'll come to that in a moment. Poked around in Final Fantasy just a little bit, and I'm sitting it ready to go into the Great Goobel Library, which honestly it looks like an absolutely incredible dungeon design.
It's super cool. I'm a big fan.
Very, very cool looking. It's a giant library. There's books. There's floating platforms. There's a demon wall. Sorry, demon book.
It's a book. It's a demon book.
It's a demon wall, except it's a book. The final boss looks kind of a little bit weird. You kind of got to coordinate to have everyone stand on the right spots at the right time. Yeah, that's probably going to be interesting. So yeah, that looks like it's something to look forward to. I might do that after the show. I'm not going to talk about my experiences in FGO. Let's just skip right past that right now.
It was grim, needless to say.
Yeah. That the gacha hates me. Let's just leave it at that. So the game I actually want to talk about is, of course, Monster Hunter Iceborne. Because it is good. It is very good. So, the expansion picks up right after the end of the main story. The world has been saved and all of that from Xeno'jiiva. Not that it's really been in danger from Xeno'jiiva, because Xeno'jiiva was too busy having a nap, and you woke him up, you jerk.
We are reliably informed that we are saving the ecosystem.
Yes, from a giant napping dragon thing.
Well, in all cases, we're supposed to be saving the ecosystem, not just butchering the wildlife because it's fun and challenging.
Yes, that's what the Hunters Guild is all about: is saving the ecosystem.
Who's
They
saving the ecosystem from us, though? That's what I want to know.
Well, that's supposed to be the Hunters Guild as well, but they are notably absent in World.
Yeah, it really seems to be one of those, invade and pillage circumstances.
But for science, we're not murdering the wildlife. We're researching. We're not turning their skin into hats. It's science.
Well, we very obviously are turning their skin into hats, though. That's the thing.
But we're doing it for science.
This hat twas someone's cat.
Twas. So yeah, the premise is as paper thin as ever, but that doesn't matter because you're not there for the story. You're there for the fights.
I can't believe I made a Simpsons reference.
I know, right?
I feel so
Why?
old.
I'm actually sad that I got it. Admittedly, the "See My Vest" song is mimetic.
And it is sort of on point for Monster Hunter.
It is. So the game, yeah, like I said, the game picks up right where the original left off, and it initially seems to be at the point where you've just beaten Xeno'jiiva, you're ready to move on to the next thing. Maybe you've done a few other bits and pieces in terms of difficulty. So you'll fight Beotodus straight away, which is basically Duratotus but in snow. There's not a whole lot of difference, really.
And just as shameful a display.
Yeah. Like, it'll stomp you if you're not paying attention, but you've really got to kind of doze off. He's not that difficult. From there, before I move on, you will notice, though, that Beotodus takes a long time to take down. It took me about half an hour. Because I was learning the
He's just
fight.
got that much health.
He's got that much health when you're using high rank gear. Next after that is Mr. Moose. What's his name? I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden. Blah. Mr. Moose, who is... you can beat him. He takes a bit of a long time as well, but again, he's not too hard in high rank gear. Admittedly, I was coming at this with arc-tempered... monster gear and a set I'd put together to maximize my survivability. So I wasn't taking a whole lot of damage from him, so I could just whittle him down. Again, took a while. At that point, the game decides it's had enough and it's going to stop messing around. So it throws Viper Tobukadachi at you, which is fast. It tends to backflip over your head and slam you with its tail. It poisons, and it's still got its paralysis.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. Oh, and it also hits like a truck in high rank gear. So even if you've got your nice high rank end game arc-tempered monster gear, it's not gonna last you very long. I actually ended up beating Viper Kodachi, but that's because the quest when you first encounter it in the story mode is an expedition. So you can just cart and cart and cart. I ended up carting maybe 4 times on it.
That's a little bit shameful, I have to say.
Yeah, to die to a giant snake squirrel. Yeah, regular Tobukadachi is a joke, admittedly. He is...
Yeah, which is kind of sad because I felt like Tobukadachi was a really cool monster, like had a lot of personality.
Yeah. So you need to upgrade into your master rank gear as soon as you can, and I think the easiest way to do that is you can beat Beotodus, or you could just abandon the quest and talk to the Master Melder, who will give you a couple of quests which lets you go out and poke around in the Wild Spire or the forest. Get yourself bone or alloy gear, and then go at it. So, knocking out my giant, shiny gun lance, I swapped it out for a kind of crappy-looking iron gun lance. And even though the actual base numbers on it were less than my my Joe Lance, I still managed to beat Beatotus in about half the time.
So, is Master Rank like a totally different kettle of fish? Like, it's not even. It's not a progression in the conventional sense of moving up to the next rank. It's like a whole new class.
It is a whole new class. If you remember the junk between low rank and high rank,
right.
It's a bit steeper than that.
But I don't remember it being a case that I would move from my best low rank weapon to a worse high rank weapon. Like, I don't remember that being something that happened.
No, your low rank gear would get you a little way in high rank before you absolutely had to replace it, and generally you'd replace it with something better. I'm wondering if there's some sort of snag in the code where if you're using a rank 8 weapon or lower, you'll do less damage than using a rank 9 or higher.
Yeah, because that seems like, well, to be honest, it seems like typical Monster Hunter bullcrap, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not great that it doesn't have it's not really clear exactly what stat drives how much damage you're doing, because you would think that, you know, the numbers would be contiguous from one class to the next.
You'd think so, but no. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've had to go back and actually farm Great Jagras, and I knocked over a couple of Baroth this morning because he seems to have the defense armor stats at the moment.
Right. So is there like master rank edition of every armor, and it's just better the way there was high rank version of the armor?
Yes.
Right, so generally, I sort of get it now, I think.
Yeah, generally the base stats are a bit better. It might have an extra skill or two on it, but there's also the addition of rank 4 slots. And a rank 4 slot is basically, it's the same as a lower rank slot, except it'll have more than 1 point of a given skill on it.
Right, I see.
So it gives you one right out of the gate, which is a rank 4 weakness exploit. Which is actually a really good one to get, because weakness exploit, if I recall, only goes up to 3.
Didn't they nerf the crap out of it though?
I think they did a bit, yeah.
Because it was like so far and away optimal for everything that people would always find room for it in any damage based set.
Yeah, they did nerf it. A lot of the weapons, well, all the weapons got some sort of tweak or overhaul. From the beta, and just going into the main game, I'm finding the gun lance is a lot better to play. The bomb you can attach to a monster is a bit more responsive now.
Right.
So it also seems to go off for any explosive damage. So you can do it just by shelling it, and it'll proc its extra explosion. But then you can do your Clutch Claw attack, and that will set it off. The Wyvern Blast will set it off, and I'm pretty sure Biro Bombs actually set it off as well. Though it's hard to tell because there's so many explosions going on at that point, you just can't keep track. I think we actually have to sit down and do a bit of science on it to see if other players can trigger it. Because it doesn't do a lot of extra damage, but it adds up. And it adds up really quick.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried any of the other weapons yet, so I can't tell you what's going on there just yet. I'm thinking of picking up the hunting horn again and giving that another go.
Doot.
I get to honk things to death and beat things to death with a giant bladder on a stick. The Charge Blade, I believe, got actually nerfed a little bit.
I've heard no end of whinging about it.
Yeah.
From, you know, super elite skilled Monster Hunter players who only ever use it.
Charge Blade could do a ridiculous amount of DPS if you knew how to play it, but you also had to know how to play it. Because if you didn't know how to play it, you would end up fighting your weapon more than the monster.
But you'd still end up doing more damage than somebody else who was that bad at their weapon.
Oh yeah,
like, the numbers.
Really bad.
the numbers were off the chain, and the better you got with it, the more numbers you got out of it.
Yeah.
It was just OP all the way up and all the way down, and I think it says a lot when the weapon that is used by people who are only good with one weapon and people who are good with every weapon is the same weapon.
Yeah. It's consistently one of the most used weapons too. So hopefully we'll see a bit more spread on that. There's a few other bits and pieces like stuff that will reduce the amount of grind you get, and that comes in the form of the Steamworks, which is a rather goofy building at the back of the new base. So whenever you beat a quest or you go out and do enough hunting or mining, you'll get coal, and you can optionally burn additional items to build up more fuel in the Steamworks. From there, you play a mini game, which is essentially just guess which order these 3 buttons need to be pressed in over and over and over, and it gives you the option just hold down R2 and it'll just go 1 2 3 1 2 3. Sooner or later, though, you'll get fever mode where it'll give you tell you the inputs, and you can just build up a combo there. But ideally, what happens at the end of this is it'll just give you a whole pile of items, and that's namely things like armor spheres and barrel bombs and the occasional bit of furniture and potions and all sorts of good stuff.
Right.
So instead of going out and just grinding for armor spheres particularly, you can just go and play with the cats in the steam until it explodes. And it inevitably will explode. I am kind of sad that at the moment I've gotten rid of the handler. I don't have her anymore. I've got the competent handler. Minor story for spoilers, by the way.
I see.
Yes, I've got the actual good handler who is good at her job and not the useless food addict. Unfortunately, I am going to have to give her back at some point.
My condolences.
Yeah. It is kind of weird, though. Like, you do the cooking in the field animation, she'll have a new animation, a new voice work for that, and other bits and pieces. But the Steamworks, she doesn't. So she acts like your normal goofy handler and has the voice. Which is a bit off-putting.
I see.
Yeah, someone who's very straight-laced and serious is suddenly bouncing around like a lunatic and playing with cats. And getting exploded. So yeah, it is well worth jumping into it. If you liked World, you're going to just love this because it's more of it and, in general, just better. The clutch claw mechanics take some getting used to, and you've got to figure out when your timing to use it, the thing actually is. Because if you get it wrong, your monster will just throw you off and stomp you on the dirt.
Yeah, I found that I almost always used it too often or too rarely.
Yeah. So you've got the choice of doing 2 attacks when you get on it. You press triangle to do a weakening attack, which will weaken the area you've clutched onto and drop a slinger ammo, or you can do I think they call it a flinch attack, where if you're on the head, if you're on the body, it just kind of does a bit of damage and maybe staggers the monster slightly. But if you're on the head, you kind of stick the stinger behind their ear, or ear analog, I guess, and fire that, which sends the monster staggering forward. If they hit a wall, it does a decent amount of damage and knocks the monster over. But both animations take a little while. So if the monster decides he doesn't want you there anymore while you're doing the animation, you'll just get thrown off. There is some kind of wonky animation catches with it as well, particularly with Beatotus, I found. For the gun lance, when you're doing the weaken attack, your character will jump up into the air above the monster and then come down lance first. Beatotus, when he's doing the thing where he's kind of flopping around in the dirt or in the snow really quickly, is very bizarre to watch. Because suddenly you've got this hunter in midair, flying through the terrain and then popping up somewhere else. Yeah, that attack or that movement actually does not dislodge you, so you will be flying around and it looks very bizarre. Hilarious, but bizarre. What else is there to talk about? I've kind of had to stop progressing in the story at this point because I've gotten Viper Kadachi once, but after that it says, okay, here's Powerlumu and Pookie Pookie's variations. Off you go. And I want to get some better gear before I do those two. Like, even though Powerlumu and Pookie Pookie themselves are also very easy, yeah, the jump up from Kadachi to Viper Kadachi is very noticeable. So I kind of want to be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah, if you want to jump on it, do so. There's absolutely no reason not to. What else? The housing mechanic, it's just kind of there. It doesn't really add anything, but it's just nice for something to fiddle around with before you fill your house with lizards.
Well, you need to arrange yourself a convenient space to play hopscotch in,
Yes, you do.
or the equivalent.
I
You need to
agree.
be able to run around in circles around something. So
It's just fill the house with lizards or with geckos. That's what I've done. My house is just full of geckos. Except
I
for the hot
see.
spring, which has monkeys in it. There is one major convenience thing, though. If you go outside your house, there is a feline there. And you can do your feline expeditions outside your house. Without
thank
transitioning.
goodness.
I know.
I was so sick of having to go through a loading screen every time I needed to check on that.
I was overjoyed to find that. The new base, it's kind of circular. Everything's kind of in a circle except for a few other things which are kind of on a slightly lower level where you can duck across the middle. So from where you come back from a hunt, you kind of turn left and there's the forge, or you go straight ahead and there's the kitchen. And I think I'd like Astera a lot better for some things, like how that central area is kind of arranged. Everyone's just kind of there. But on the other hand, you're going to go to the forge a lot. And Astera has the forge right up the back and up an elevator. So thankfully, the forge is kind of just there now.
I think that I think very much it was a case of Astera was designed based on a concept art piece, basically.
Yep.
A concept document, and the new town is designed based on people whinging about Astera.
Yeah. Admittedly, they do move that third fleet airship. They still haven't figured out how airships are supposed to work by the look of it. Essentially, it's a giant wreck just hanging from some balloons. And it still flies at that weird angle. So yeah, we'll see. I'm keep kicking away at it. I've got to get back in the swing of things. The game isn't very forgiving if you're kind of out of practice at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be an experience and a half when I go back to it.
Yeah. Like, it just assumes that you've been playing the game up until this point. So if you've come straight from Xeno'jiiva into Beotodus, I think you'll do okay, but yeah.
I think that's an unalloyed good. Like I think that's ideal. It should be like that. It should not be any other way.
Yeah.
I would be very deeply concerned if they decided to reset the skill curve as well.
Yeah. No, they've just,
because number one, that would be a break with tradition as I understand it, and number two, it would mean that they're doing that whole thing that sinks so many games of trying to be all things to all men.
Yeah.
Whereas that Iceborne is supposed to be for people who have conquered the base game.
Yes.
Like people who can solo Extreme Behemoth.
Yeah, the ultimate I've beaten this game move. Astera, by the way, has had its soundtrack reset. Once you go to Iceborne for the first time, Astera will have its original soundtrack and not the Final Fantasy one anymore.
Oh, thank goodness, because I don't think that I was going to. Since I'm not really much one for putting together groups of people to play with, I was a bit concerned that I'd never ever hear the regular music again.
Yeah. Yeah, Behemoth is a bit of a nasty.
Yeah, well, I know that sort of flags me as a noob. You had to have trouble with Behemoth, not even Extreme Behemoth, but regular Behemoth. But
yeah.
I ain't perfect. I never claimed to be any good at video games.
Yeah, regular Behemoth gives me trouble as well, and I'm just yeah. What else was there? Going to keep picking away at it because once you at least beat Beatotus and kind of get the base up and running, you get a whole bunch of quests just to go and do the original monsters, so you can get yourself some gear that way. Baroth, Jagras, and the other ones I've hunted haven't shown any new behaviors yet. Well, except for Baroth just deciding to run away at every opportunity on that last hunt because he's a jerk. I swear he was just trying to run down the timer on my bomb. But yeah, once you spike a monster with the bomb, it's there for a certain number of blasts or just time before it falls off.
Right, I see.
So you stick it there, and then he starts running away. Let me think. The monsters it starts you off with is just all the baseline ones: Baroth, Jagras, the base Pookie Pookie. Doesn't have Rathian initially, but you get a quest early on for that. One other thing that's really nice that they've done is you can upgrade all your mantles. And you upgrade them by adding sockets to them. So whenever your mantle is active, you'll get the effect of those sockets. The first one you get is the Ghillie Mantle. And that's pretty much straight away. It's just there. Then after that, you get the Vitality Mantle. And it's notable because the quest giver says cram a lot. But she tells you, okay, go and hunt a moose, not a Beatotus. What she doesn't tell you is that at Master Rank 1, at Quest Level 1, it's a tempered moose. So I just saw that quest there because, okay, I got to go hunt a moose. I'm going to get this because the Vitality Mantle is extremely useful. And then I just saw it's tempered and just, nope. So, yeah, they're not exactly about holding back, are they?
Well, why would you? I'm actually as daunting as as the prospect is. I'm actually sort of really tickled to see that they were willing to follow through, because like a lot of people view Monster Hunter World as the casual Monster Hunter for people who aren't any good.
Yeah.
And have no hope of being any good at Monster Hunter under the regular rubric. So I'm sort of glad that they followed through on making the expansion pack like this. The object of this is to sincerely challenge people.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't temper that with anything, no pun intended. They followed through with tradition and they made it abusive, which is what everybody wanted.
Yeah. So if you're not ready for it, it will kick you in the pants.
I mean, how many developers are even willing to make a game that is, just redonkulously hard anymore, without that just being a gimmick?
Yeah, FromSoft. FromSoft leans on it as the gimmick, unfortunately. But what's even better is there's, as always, the free editions coming along for free. And not for charge, because this is the Capcom and they're actually being good. So the first monster they've already unveiled, and that's going to be Rajang, the Super Saiyan Gorilla. I'm not kidding, the thing is just a walking Dragon Ball reference. It's based on the Great Ape, and it goes Super Saiyan when it's in range. It gets the gold spiky hair and its eyes turn blue. So we're all going to die.
Is it? It's not like the deviant one though, right? It's the regular one.
Just regular Rajang, yeah. Not the subspecies.
Because I hear the subspecies one is even more obnoxious.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think with Rajang's model, that opens the door for Congola, which is a giant bare-assed gorilla that attacks by farting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's pink, right?
It is pink. It's a rather obnoxious fight, unfortunately, because, status effects. Everyone loves status effects. And farts. So yeah, we'll see how things go. I'm probably going to just have to grind for a while before I really progress. Haven't found anything that wasn't or any monsters anyway, that weren't announced in the streams yet. So there's going to be something there that's kind of hiding, I bet. I'm not looking forward to trying out Volcana, though. It makes its appearance right at the very start of the game, even though nobody knows what it is. Because that tends to be the way these things go.
They don't try and bait you into fighting it, do they?
No, they don't. Because at that point, everyone's talking about Legianas. And that's all they're talking about, is just Legianas. So, that's the plot at this point, is Legianas are being weird, let's go follow them. Oh look, there's the new world, let's keep chasing Legianas.
So is this new location is like a different island, or is it on the same area, or?
It's a new island. It's not attached physically to the same land.
Right.
But apparently the old explorer lady knew it was there, or at least had a very good hunch that it was there, and didn't say anything. A lot of the main characters have gotten kind of design overhauls. Like the general has a design overhaul for the cold weather, where he just throws a jacket over his shoulders and lets it float in the breeze, completely missing the point of jackets.
Well, he's essentially also an anime character, so he has to wear it like that.
He has to. It looks cool. It's just not at all practical. So, but he doesn't stick around. He goes back to Astera, presumably to spend some quality time with his Dragonator.
He is very fond of that Dragonator.
Yeah, it's gotten kind of meme-worthy, hasn't it? Dear. So yeah, I'm very happy with that, and I have no regrets. And this is a very rare thing. I have no regrets for buying it at launch.
Well, I mean, they had given you a reason to believe in them.
Yes, and they have not disappointed.
Well, yeah. Capcom has been on the up and up. They've been really just kind of knocking it out of the park ever since Resi 7 and Monster Hunter World and Devil May Cry 5.
Yep.
So
I think they learned their lesson after Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. I would say that Yoshinori Ono, either whichever rule is true, where he was either the cause of Street Fighter 5 or was warning them against it, he definitely got the point to them that this is a bad idea.
Yeah. And what do you know? It was a bad idea.
What, you mean you have to package 50 gigabytes of nothing and then expect people to keep it updated with 10 gigabyte patches that take forever to download and eat up all your hard drive space, and then charge them full price for the game despite there not being a single player mode at launch?
Uh-huh. People are going to be happy about that.
Yeah. We're catering to the hardcore market again. Sure you are.
Yeah.
But except the anime. So Capcom has lost the anime fighter market. They've all gone on. They're playing Guilty Gear now.
Yeah.
They're all playing Dragon Ball Fighters.
Although
they lost the Marvel market too.
There are people who would argue that Street Fighter is an anime fighter. Blah.
No, those people don't know what that term actually means. Yes, it's done in an anime style, but it is a Capcom fighter. Capcom fighters and anime fighters are different.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, gonna keep picking at that. I'm just very glad that Capcom has stayed the course. Like, they've got 3 very, very good game releases under their belt now in a row, being Resi 6, DMC5, and Monster Hunter World. I think they've learned. I don't think they're going to go back and insult their customers again.
The optimistic line of thinking is that you would think more companies would see this and realize how profitable it could be, and will eventually have to change their course in response. But in the real world, we know through experience that people are either too arrogant or too stupid to learn from their mistakes, and so we're screwed.
Yes. Like, Capcom's learned, they realized that releasing a quality product and not treating your customers like walking wallets actually works.
Like, the Devil May Cry 5 Reddit is still active when it's almost been it's over half a year now. Good lord.
Yeah.
Since that game came out. Like, most games Reddits are lucky if they last a month.
Yup. So yeah, it's very good, and it's just more of what we already love, with a few improvements to remove some of the grind, which is really nice.
First thing I'm buying when I get a PS4 again. I have to buy a new PS4.
Also, if you're on the PC, you're missing out because you're not going to get it for at least a few months.
Honestly, Monster Hunter is such a third-person action game. I don't know why you would have a preference to play it on PC unless you got some friends that are playing.
Mods.
I suppose that's true.
Mods. And I just remember the Neptune mod. Why?
Oh.
Nip Gigante.
Guys, we gotta switch to PC. We can undo the Neanderthal characters rocking and rolling.
Nip.
Like, it's too late. We gotta redo it. We gotta fix our Neanderthals so they actually look like people or humans or something vaguely human-like, instead of the abominations that every character in Monster Hunter winds up looking like.
At least they're wearing pants this time around.
Sometimes.
Most of the time. I will not forgive Monster Hunter 3 for having a decided lack of pants.
You don't like your Aboriginal loincloths of the bear?
Well, the main city for 3 was a floating town. It was just floating around on planks. So a lot of people were wearing something that was a mix between actual clothing and swimwear. Which generally involved not pants.
Again, I don't see a problem with this.
Because it wasn't the ladies not wearing pants.
Again, I don't see a problem with this.
Wear pants, people, at least in public.
Why?
You're just trying to rebel against big pants.
Yeah, I'm gonna take down big pants.
Oh dear. Anyway, moving on. Vol, your week, sir.
My week, I was glutted with work. I had a longish weekend last week, but it just lined me up for a brutal week this week and next week. So I'm not really sure how that's going to go. Most of the time, I had neither the energy nor the motivation to play FGO because, like Ari, I'm suffering from burnout. It didn't hit me as hard as it hit him because it's FGO, but the Nerofest is not my favorite thing, as I talked about last time. So I'll probably end up just doing the bare minimum on it, getting the things that are limited and can't be replaced, like gold foos and crystallized lore and that sort of thing. But I'm not going to farm too hard. There's only a few days left, and I haven't done most of the challenge quests. And normally I'd be all for that because it gets you summon tickets, but it's hard work to clear those for me. I'm not very good at coming up with strategies, and I'm incredibly bad at rolling good CEs, so that makes the whole thing difficult. But so I've been playing mainly Final Fantasy 14 because naturally, as soon as I started playing it, these two idiots abandoned me, like within days. So
Monster Hunter happened and work happened.
Real life friends dragged me into a disaster.
Yeah, well, serves you right for being so weak. But I'm enjoying playing it again. Not that I ever really stopped enjoying it. That didn't really happen. I got a job basically, and I was not in a position to manage my time well enough to have time to play a MMO, and it looks like I'm not going to again because things are falling apart at work, and I have a funny feeling that they're going to expect me to be able to deal with it somehow. I have finished my short-term project of getting all of my combat jobs to a minimum of level 30, so I can dispose of all my sub-level 30 gear because it's glutting up my inventory, and then I proceeded to re-glut my inventory with a whole bunch of gear from level 50 to 70 dungeons. So I've got more junk to work out where I'm going to put. But that's the thing. I love having all my classes on one character, but it means my inventory fills up with their crap.
Yeah.
All the different classes.
As I'm leveling up, I have to play this game in my head of, do I actually think if I took another piece of gear from another armor class that I'm not wearing right now, would I use it? And remember I have it is the more important part.
The thing is that you technically can just methodically level all of your characters jobs, and then just decide merely whether or not you want it for vanity's sake. There's a possibility, and there's the very slow possibility that I'm gradually grinding through now.
Yeah.
It's I was trying to play with Fern and Ari, so I hadn't powered ahead through the story or anything. But then they decided no.
I'll be back. It's just give it time. I don't think my current habitat will last for very long. If you're actually online and jabbering at me to play it, I'm more likely to get on. That's the main reason I've been playing the other one, in air quotes, is because
The other one, eh?
People jabber to me and they're like, "Come play with us," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll come on."
Meh. That was enthusiastic.
If you get to jabbering to me, I'm more likely to play while you're playing.
Well, at any rate, so I've been mainly playing Red Mage in addition to that, and sort of leveling slowly. Not really pushing it, because I don't really like my level proceeding too quickly, and it will if you spend a lot of time doing like main scenario roulette or whatever. You get a lot of experience from that. Like it's something that's easy to do when you're tired in the evening because you spend most of the time in cutscenes, but it's also, it levels you disproportionately fast. So if you try doing the tactic, which I started off doing for a little while, where I'll queue up in the evening, I'll poke at FGO while I wait for the queue will pop, and I'll do Praetorium or whatever, and then sign off for the night when I'm too tired to do anything else. But that results in your level proceeding ridiculously fast and getting miles ahead of your gear. And then if you try and do dungeons, you end up shaming yourself publicly. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid doing that too enthusiastically, or rather, my current strategy is that if I'm going to level something at the same time as my Red Mage through that, is that way I'll be able to, hopefully, through spam and greed rolls, collect enough gear as I go through with my Red Mage doing the dungeon grind in the conventional way, that I will at least not end up with my alt jobs being too soggy. But yeah, I don't know how well that'll work. But yeah, since I'm focusing on Red Mage at the moment, which I'm still enjoying because it's simple, it's effective, and it's incredibly flashy. Yeah, so I'll focus on that one for learning dungeons properly and level other things in the background, and that also gives me the opportunity to level my tanking classes without having to focus too much, because there's a lot to remember when you're tanking in Final Fantasy compared to most other MMOs where you can just get through with guts. But
I got some stories for that later.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have anything particularly notable to talk about since most of my game time has been grinding. I haven't picked up Iceborne yet, simply because I don't have a proper weekend this week, so it would basically sit there and stare at me all week, and I wouldn't have time to play.
It would tempt.
And I'd be disappointed. The thing that happens would happen is if I would start playing in the evening, it'd probably be like 9 p.m. and then I'd look at the clock and it'd be 3 p.m. and then 3 a.m. and I'd have to like, oh man, I got to go to work in a few hours, and that's never fun. So I'm just going to stay away from it for the time being. Like I'm having plenty of fun playing Final Fantasy 14. It's not like I'm bored and champing at the bit. It'll be easier for me in Iceborne if Fern's nice and accustomed to it and can give me a hand because he's got actual gear by the time I start.
I get prizes for that now.
Prizes?
Prizes. They've got a system where if you go back and help lower leveled hunters, you get prizes.
Oh yay!
Cool. What crap did I miss out on for not pre-ordering? Actually,
Well, the pre-order bonuses are still up at the moment. I think they got about a month or so. But you get a costume. Let me think. Yeah, I think it was just a costume, which is a rather cool one, the Yakumo costume, which makes you look like some sort of wandering Ronin. So I think that was the big pre-order bonus.
So long as it's nothing critical, because I'm still a bit butthurt about how I came into Stormblood, shortly after the release of Stormblood, and therefore didn't get the EXP boost.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of annoyed that I missed out on the 15 crossover event and didn't get that mount.
Yeah, that mount's wonky. I don't regret missing it at all. Like, just every time I see it, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's horrible.
Oh, it does.
I'm out here in this high fantasy world doing quests as a warrior bunny girl of the light, and there is just down the forest is a Corvette. Like,
just driving
seriously,
past.
Just driving past.
Like through the swamp.
Everything else, I'm in the mood. I'm doing the Hildebrand quest. I'm having laughs, and there's some Corvette. Why do I keep saying Corvettes? Corvettes driving down the road.
The Regalia.
Not necessarily even the road, like down the river.
Down the river.
Yeah.
But
Like,
more the point.
Is there a car in the lake?
I don't really so much worrying about the visuals, because it is a bit of a sequence break, admittedly. No, it's because it was a 2-person mount.
All right.
So you can go and you can be Bishy boy band impersonators together. And more importantly, you can cart around your friends who are low level and don't have their mount yet.
Yeah, nah, I think it's weird.
Oh yeah,
I think it's weird, and I don't like it.
Well, the other option,
so weird.
The other option for the multi-person mount is a Sky Whale that costs you like $40 Australian.
Well, I saw one guy with it.
Yeah, I've seen the Sky Whale around. Admittedly, I fought the other Sky Whale, Bismarck.
It is a false Sky Whale. So is Bismarck. Bismarck is. Both of them are the false Sky Whale. There's only one true MMO Sky Whale. The Terra Sky Whale. All hail the Sky Whale. Something about Ellen's. I need an adult.
There you go. That's our Terra memes out of the way. Moving on.
That's the entirety of Terra General chat in some of the starting zones.
Yeah, pretty much.
I miss when that game was good.
I miss Terra.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to ruin it.
Yeah. Apparently they're... I saw mentioned the other day that EA is proceeding to ruin SWTOR even more.
Good grief. Leave the poor thing alone.
Put it out of its misery already.
We need to put Star Wars back in the freezer for a while.
Yeah, well, people are saying, though, that the SWTOR storylines are the only good storylines for Star Wars being made anymore. Because apparently their story stuff is actually really good.
I could believe it.
They had quite a few of the classes had hits with stories that were actually genuinely good, and I would have taken it in a single-player game.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like in their story content that they've released and the patches that have been ongoing since release, like they have never slacked off on their content production for it.
Yeah, the content in that game isn't the issue; it's the monetization.
Yeah. Like they chose the worst available monetization techniques to drive people away.
I don't remember exactly what all they did. I remember something to do with money though, and that was
the
like
escrow accounts.
You're right.
They lock up the credits that you've earned, and you can't have more than a certain cap without paying funny money to have it released.
And you go on the auction house, and everything is divided between that line, whatever the hell it is, in cash. Oh. EA, go jump off a cliff.
Yeah.
We'll rant at EA more later.
Something that I've seen commented on quite a bit is the fact that there's a huge amount of cash shop stuff in Final Fantasy XIV, but nobody seems to care.
Yeah.
Like it's not like in World of Warcraft, every time they bring something into the cash shop, people get really mad, but nobody seems to care if it gets added to the cash shop in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
There's probably a few reasons socially for that, unless you know a specific one.
Yeah, well, honestly though, like I've actually been tempted to get stuff now and again from the Final Fantasy cash shop. Like I never actually have, but
Mm.
the temptation has been there, and I haven't, felt like I was being, deliberately exploited or anything. But I've never felt like that about the World of Warcraft cash shop
Yeah.
ever. Like everything sold on there, as far as I'm concerned, is a mark of shame, and I don't know why there's such a huge difference.
I don't know.
Never
like
forget
TRH.
TB's TB's greatest contribution to WoW memes, aside from not one but two Jormungandr worms, is TRH.
In the mountains.
In the mountains. But
Not one but two Jormungandr worms
like,
was so ridiculous it got an achievement, so I picked that one.
Like I have been tempted to buy stuff from the Final Fantasy market. I don't know what the big difference is. Maybe it just feels like they've earned it. I guess I don't know. I think actually bought something, except they insist on putting everything on the Morg Station in euros.
I think it may, to some small extent, be a facet of your tendency to identify in a more personal way with your character and their achievements.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that WoW used to have but doesn't anymore.
Yeah,
well,
now
WoW Classic has brought it back to a certain extent. But
we're going to talk about that.
I know that by the time I was raiding in, like it had already set in Warlords of Draenor, but it had become like obvious by Legion, was that I didn't care a lick about any of my characters. I had no personal feelings about them whatsoever, no attachment to them, didn't relate to their histories in any way. They were just, mechanisms that I could use, and I needed as many as possible in order to have the maximum autonomy. So I just had alt after alt after alt after alt. I didn't feel like my character was a person in that world. So it wouldn't make sense to me to buy something for something as abstract as an account.
Yep.
As opposed to a person. So I don't know. That's me spitballing a theory on it on the fly. I don't know what the actual reason is.
Before I forget about it, I'll do a quick segue story that I've had to explain this concept you just described to people in my guild and in the Discord as a thing that they need to not underestimate. And the way I expressed it to them was server reputation. You can't be a douchebag because your character is important, because you can't just go level another one. That's going to take months. You dumb.
You don't want to be that guy who people won't party with.
So yeah, I just finished my Gnomeregan run and got all the quests done this right before a rando who I don't actually know the guy that well in the guild asked me, and I won't out his name, but he goes, "Oh, let's go to Gnomer. He's got a full group and is looking for a tank." I'm like, "Okay, I just tanked it as a bear. I can do it again." And we go back and I go to help him, and I don't know him that well. I've talked to him maybe once or twice before back in Legion. And he's got this full group, and we get to the dungeon. I help them all get their punch cards, and I help them get their tech bot brain before we get in and make sure everybody's ready to go. And I'm being real careful and being real nice to everybody and trying to make the guild look good. And then he turns it on a loot system that he didn't understand was different than live, where he thought Need Before Greed had no drawbacks. I'm like, dude, that makes it so that people who aren't on the right armor class can't roll on stuff. So we can't roll on pieces of like mail gear that warrior needs for gold on the server where everybody's poor, or if we're an enchanter and can't disenchant them. Like that's why people don't want that system turned on. And he fought about it with this guy in our group for a good 5 minutes, and the other guy in the group was mostly just confused. And the guy in our guild just got hacked off and kicked him from the group. And I whispered that guy and was apologizing nonstop because I don't want my rep stuck with that, because we were both in the same guild. And he did not get why this was a big deal and don't do that. It was incredibly frustrating. Server rep is important in games like that where it matters, and it builds an attachment, and in any game where you have a attachment to your character. So that's the tangent that I didn't want to forget when you brought that up.
If you screw over your reputation early on, it's like I hope you get an Uber's key because it's the only way you're ever going to get a group ever again.
Yeah, like holy crap.
But yeah, I don't really have anything else much to talk about. I haven't even started on any Shadowbringers content because I'm still having fun playing through the old stuff. The Stormblood dungeons were mostly pretty good, so I'm still enjoying those. Although mainly I end up doing the humiliation conga a lot of the time because I keep forgetting things and accidentally turning myself old in the second boss of Siren Song. Oh, not Siren Song. I can't remember what that dungeon is called. Siren Song's the first one. What's the second one? Anyway, there's a dungeon based on the that famous Japanese legend about the underwater palace.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how there's in the legend there's a box that the guy opens and it makes him old or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fight mechanic in that dungeon. Like the only way you can avoid getting seduced is if you temporarily enchant yourself to be old, and apparently that prevents seduction, so you don't get hit by the seduction debuff. So yeah, it's a really silly mechanic. But the thing is that you can accidentally trip over the thing that makes you old if you are not paying attention or using too many gap closes or retreat skills. So yeah.
Oh dear.
But yeah, I'm having fun with it, and everybody says that you know, Shadowbringers is really cool story. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm also sort of slowly trying to regrind through the end of Heavensward and through the Stormblood story again, so I can try and remember what happened, because Stormblood was a bit of a whirlwind for me. Didn't really follow what was going on very well. I'm not particularly attached to the character of Ida, so I didn't really sympathize with her all that much. Whereas I really enjoyed the Heavensward story very much more. But yeah, Fern seems to be enjoying it.
Oh yeah,
when he's playing. But yeah, the Heavensward was really great. I think it was much better than Stormblood in a lot of ways. Although you had to listen to a lot more boring dragon lore.
Yeah, they tend to get a bit stuck in on their boring dragon lore.
Yeah, somebody somewhere really liked their boring dragon lore. But yeah. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there.
Okay.
All right.
That's probably time for a break then.
Oh, it is. So I already interjected with my week a bit, but we'll come back with the rest of it once we get back from some music. And we're back.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, that rant behind the scenes kept going.
Yeah, I needed to get some clarification about some individuals from Vol before I told some WoW stories.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make anybody feel bad. So yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, but I do.
I'm the one that has a rep that doesn't need to be damaged in the video game right now, unfortunately. So I have to be very careful about that. And I've tried my God-given best to emphasize this to literally everybody that I bumped into on that Discord.
You gotta remember, a lot of these people are WoW kiddies. They've never had to interact with other players before, not on any basis that treats them as anything worth more than NPCs. So
yeah, anybody that's joined after the last patch of Wrath of the Lich King hit is going to need to have a sit down and be talked to like a child about why you don't be an asshole to people. I am discovering this the more I interact with people who play the game with my friends. Like, there are things that it is in your best interest not to do that in Classic WoW would just be whatever behavior, but in Vanilla WoW, or not Classic WoW, in Retail WoW may be regular behavior for you, but here it has consequences. We are on Peggle forever as a guild, getting everybody in the guild to pay $20 to transfer to another server is not on the table for a guild as casual as ours. So,
and that's things that guilds legitimately did when they had too many toxic players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there server transfers available at the moment?
There are free server transfers from the highest pop to the lowest pop.
Okay.
And that's because the initial realms they listed are a little overpopulated. So to curb the queues are much more manageable, maybe 10 minutes tops.
But Ari, we think we do, but we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think they under-released the number of servers on purpose. Me and Abo do, but we think they still underestimated how much they needed because they wound up opening 3 times as many servers as they initially had.
Wow.
Yeah, and they just rolled out a new batch not too long ago too. Like you think you do, but you don't. Get bent, Blizzard. So yeah. But other than that specific type of shenaniganery, where I have had to go out of my way to explain to people that if you give a bad rap for yourself right now, people are going to remember that. And if you plan on being active as a part of the WoW community at all on your server, you need to clean yourself up and act like a normal, nice human being. Otherwise, people ain't going to group with you. And you may never even know it happens.
Well, there's because none of these people have actually been part of a WoW community before. There was no WoW community.
Like, if you're looking for the independent solo MMO experience, get out. This ain't the game for you. Period. The reason I am playing Classic WoW as much as I am instead of playing Final Fantasy XIV is because I have friends that are asking me to play, and there's community interaction outside those friends that I cannot get even in Final Fantasy XIV.
Well, I play Final Fantasy XIV specifically because it excels at solo play.
Yeah.
Because my friends ditch me and go and play Monster Hunter and stuff. So I have to be able to enjoy myself on my own. I don't have much choice about it.
I'll not apologize for playing Monster Hunter.
I'll be joining I'll join you guys in Monster Hunter when I get back. I'll probably get a PS4 and order Monster Hunter shortly after. So you'll have a bit of a head start, but I'll get there. But yeah, this is an aspect of WoW Classic that has really, I'm glad that has been preserved, and that despite sharding, that has not interfered, and it seems to not trigger until a certain population threshold is reached in a zone.
Well, they plan to turn it off in the long term as well.
Yeah,
they don't plan to keep it on indefinitely. It's just that, well, I mean, you know what the servers are like. They're at capacity 24/7. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if there's sharding.
Yeah, so this has encouraged community interaction and group play. And as I touched on last week, I'm going to hammer home on my stories this week. Community interaction is the heart and soul of Vanilla WoW. Communication is the heart and soul of Vanilla WoW. It used to be an MMO was built on these things. That's why people bought it, was to be able to talk to people and play with them from the comfort of their office or their home or wherever. But the thing with modern WoW and a bunch of other MMOs these days is they may have an abundance of content, but none of it requires the game itself does not force you into community interaction to succeed. So therefore, you're just playing a single player game, which is fine, and I'm okay playing a game that has that formula. I think Final Fantasy XIV is a pretty good game. I don't love it as much as these two do, but I still think it's a good game. But there's an experience you can only get from a game like Classic World of Warcraft, where the difficulty is high enough, and the setup of the world and the way the questing system is set up is restrictive enough that you are forced to talk to people. Because it's not just about you when you go into this mindset looking for stuff. It's about the other people. That's the thing when it comes to communities. There's more than one person. And you may be willing to talk to everybody you meet in Final Fantasy XIV. You're going to wind up on everybody's block list. Like, if you try to go say hey to everybody.
Well, there's an exception to that, and that exception is when you're doing Praetorium in the main scenario roulette, where you chat a lot with other people because it's the only thing you can do while the cinematics are running.
Yeah, you get like 15 seconds of gameplay and 2 minutes of cutscenes.
Like every cutscene ends up being like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
That's awesome.
So yeah. You do get that. But the type of interaction I'm talking about specifically is the organic in the world. Just I'm out here as an adventurer with other adventurers doing quests for this local town dude, and I meet a guy from who's just doing the same quest, and he whispers me like, "Hey, you killing these things?" Yep. Hey, you want to group up so we're not tagging each other's mobs? Sure thing. Or I'm the guy asking that question. It's gone both ways about an even number of times. And you just form a group organically, and as you're questing, waiting on repops, you just start talking and you make friends. That kind of interaction is very simple, but does not exist at all in modern MMO design philosophy. You're not going to find an MMO that caters to that, and that's the part of WoW Classic that was its heart and soul, and has been pulled out of WoW with the addition of things like Group Finder.
I wonder, like, because I feel like this was quite a strong driver for the popularity of City of Heroes as well. I wonder if legitimizing City of Heroes will be more likely now that WoW Classic has put a proof of concept out there.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Especially
it's a thing.
The private server is still going, I believe.
Maybe, but yeah, it's a thing, and it's so wonderful. The people that get this, the people that don't get it will ignore you or decline your group invite and just keep going, or and whatever. Occasionally you'll get somebody that declines you that does get it, and it's just like, oh, I just finished that quest, I only got one or two more, or I just finished when you sent me the invite, sorry dude, and they'll head back. I'm on my way back to town. That's fine. Those people I'm okay with. But there have been instances, and they stand out because they're much rarer than the same consensual interactions, because the people that were looking to treat WoW like retail are dropping like flies and raging on the WoW Classic Reddit and getting downvoted into oblivion.
I admit, I really should go and read that just for a few laughs.
Yeah.
The one thing I've noticed about a lot of that discussion, like I haven't gone to the Reddit because I don't go to Reddits that aren't the FGO or Final Fantasy Reddits as a general rule. But one thing I've noticed about the arguments that I have seen being made by those types of people is that they are all arguments that have a veneer of legitimacy, right? And they're not like straight up wrong. The thing is that what those arguments have in common is that they were all arguments used to justify the changes made to WoW.
Yeah, and we saw the result and the unintended consequences of those changes and what happens when you prune communication. Like, we all thought Group Finder was a cool tool when it came out. We used it for years and thought, oh man, remember when we had to bark in general chat? It wasn't until we realized we weren't talking to anybody anymore that we had second thoughts about it. So yeah, and the interactions that don't fit the group formula, the community aspect, are what really stand out because they're so rare. The only people that are sticking around and making it past level 15 that are the people that are okay with the type of grind WoW Classic is, and genuinely want to talk to people and be friendly to people and have good interactions. I've met, aside from that interaction earlier I mentioned before the Nomergon, there was one other group I got in that had a complete douche from outside the group interfere with us, and a guy that was one of the warrior tank divas. You know those? The Super
Yeah.
Divas?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was the tank. He was the tank for our group. Now, this was just an elite quest inside an elite zone in Red Ridge, the little keep with the orcs. And we had the most diva warrior tank you've ever met. And I was talking to Abo about it the whole time I was there because I just couldn't stop laughing at this idiot because it was hilarious. And we get to kill one of the elites, and we're waiting with another group, 2 groups of 5, our group, and then the other group is waiting on. We both got there about the same time, so we fought for the tag, and the other group gets it because he respawns pretty quick. Or he had been killed a long time ago, so his respawn came up pretty quick for us the first time. And so they get it, whatever. We hang around the camp and are waiting on the next respawn, and we're just chatting, and the tank's being a tool, and everybody else is being nice to each other. And then an ungrouped mage comes along. He says in /say, "Can I get an invite?" Okay, he knows how to talk at least. That's a good sign. "Sorry, man, we're full right now." That's what I say to him. Tank doesn't respond to him despite being the group leader because he's a douchebag. And the mage just kind of starts hanging around, and none of me or the rest of the group mention him in conversations, but you can see all our character models turning around to look in his direction, wondering what he's doing whenever he gets out of line of sight. And the second the elite mob spawns, he must have had a DBM timer because he started spamming Arcane Explosion right before it spawned, and he got the tag. And as a hive mind, we all hit our escape keys and stopped our tag abilities, and just watched the dude get eaten.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yep.
And this type of experience doesn't exist. And it was so funny. He comes running back, and he starts cussing us out for it in /say, and then starts following us around /spitting on us.
I've seen that before as well. That's familiar.
Yeah.
This guy ain't gonna last 5 minutes on this server after reps get established if he keeps acting that way.
Yes, we call those children.
Yeah, you can't act like that and expect people to keep you in groups. I don't remember his name, but if he does it enough, I won't need to. His name will become ubiquitous on the server as that guy, the mage.
Oh, well, the other thing is you got to keep in mind in Classic, there's no transmog and people wear armor for a long time. You might even just recognize them on sight.
Yeah. It takes legitimately a week for the raid to reset after your raid times for your guild for you to have a low shot at that, because even Paladin gear is on the Horde drop table and Shaman gear on the Alliance drop table all the way through BWL. Like, you can get bum drops for the whole dungeon if you're really unlucky. And you got the same amount of loot you get now in 10-man for 40 people. So getting a piece of gear is a big deal, and it takes forever to get once you finish getting your dungeon progression done. So once you realize what somebody looks like, you can see the dude with like Headmaster's Charge that's just been a douche to everybody in his Dread Mist robes or whatever with the wonky hat, and just know not to invite that guy. And I can't wait for the story I finally get to tell when I finally get to prove my point by saying, so I was in this group, and this one guy we invited after searching for a little bit turned out to be a douchebag when 2 other party members were telling us how bad an idea this was in /whisper after we invited him and that we should kick him and replace him. Because it's going to happen.
Yeah, it happened in the day.
And it happens all the dang time. And this is what I was most, not concerned, but most anticipating would eat the modern WoW populace, is they don't know how to interact with people. And it just is going to come back and bite them in the rear. So yeah, that has been the generalized experience so far. It's been a fairly fun time, all things considered. And for that community aspect, I would actually recommend y'all poke at it, even if you're in the middle of playing other games right now. Just because you can't get it anywhere else, especially with the mob having gotten down to a reasonable size, but still populated enough where you have to group for quests to avoid tagging mobs. It's not something you can get very easily in other MMOs. And it's just a real good thing to remind yourself on how to act like a nice person on the internet.
I don't think I can play it Vanilla Alliance. Like, I just don't have any memories associated with it, so it wouldn't be fun. because the nostalgia is no small part of it. Even though that whole community thing is very important, the memories are also important, and I don't have any from Alliance side, and everybody I know wanted to play Alliance, so
Blah.
I don't think
I do
I
know-
don't think I'll be jumping in anytime soon.
I got a pile of friends who are playing it, and these are old school people I used to know back in the day and haven't spoken to for years, but I know where they are, and it's tempting to
Yep.
go say hi.
So everybody came out of the woodwork late for WoW Classic, but remember last week I said I thought nobody was coming out of the woodwork, relatively speaking. I just had to wait a day.
Yeah.
And then they all showed up, including ex-Canadian girlfriend who showed up and said, "Oh, by the way, we're in Georgia. We should totally meet up now that we're both playing WoW Classic." That's paraphrasing the conversation. There was a more sane reason, but that they just happened to be in town. But we were talking about WoW Classic. It's like, "Oh, we're actually coming inland from Savannah on vacation because there's a hurricane inbound. So we're coming to take shelter. You want to meet up?" I'm like, "Oh, shoot. I'm going to meet somebody I haven't met in 15 years in real life when I'm 99.9 repeated percent of our interactions were previously on the internet." That's how out of the woodwork they've come.
Yeah. Good times.
So yeah, they eventually came, and that's why I've been sticking around mostly and playing during my daytime hours when sane people in my area of the world are awake. It's because I just have people to jabber to me and keep going, "Hey, what you doing in WoW?"
Grinding.
Like right now I'm fishing because I'm doing the show, but that's an easy thing to do while fishing, while talking. But yeah, overall I've been really impressed with the people that have stuck around and managed to break the level 20 barrier. Up until then, you're going to get all types in the mob because everybody's poking at Classic WoW right now and wants to try it out because they haven't done it before, or they want to go back and see Westfall again, whatever.
Yeah.
But once you break the level 20 barrier, the only people that survive are the people that can actually open their mouths and talk to people. And finding somebody that's made it past that point that is acting like they hate the game for some reason because they want to be contrarians or because they are just entitled little dorkwads, that's a rarity. And it's why I bring them up, because they've been such the exception that it's actually surprised me. I knew people that couldn't talk and be nice to people wouldn't make it very far in this game, or at least be cordial and not offensive. But I have been genuinely surprised with how nice everyone's been that I bumped into. And this is the story on every single server that I've talked to people with so far. Just everybody that's playing WoW Classic right now. I guess it just, because grouping is so necessary in the stage of the game where there is a mob of people running around and you have to fight for tags on literally every quest. And because these people that are coming back to WoW are coming back from a source of good memories, nostalgia, they're remembering the good things about Classic WoW looking back on it. And that's why they're coming back to it. And they're also the more social people, in whether they acknowledge that intellectually or not, because they want to, they're coming back to get the WoW Classic experience, which is communicating. So they have to be good at communication in general already, or they wouldn't bother with it because they would have only bad memories and have been kicked out of the groups and blacklisted on the server. So the people that are coming back to this are people that are genuinely nice people and don't want to put up with the WoW kitty garbage. It's just such a step up in terms of community quality for all other online games in comparison, due to, I think, those factors, and probably ones I haven't taken of as well. So there's a lot of good things I have to say about it. I wasn't expecting to praise it this hard. I really wasn't. I was ready to nitpick it. I've been on the lookout for things to nitpick Classic WoW about, and I just cannot find that many.
Well, to be fair, that was sort of in Blizzard's court. Like, this was it's their game to lose, so to speak. Like, the game could have been won for them if what the players said was true, that they actually wanted this and so on and so forth. Like, all they had to do was deliver on something that they were eminently equipped to deliver. But in that sense, it's like, provided that that's all that they do, things should work out the way that that people predict. The question was whether or not they could resist meddling.
Yeah. And so far, they pretty much have. The only real bug we've had was the raid group EXP bug that they fixed as soon as they realized it was. So, yeah. That's been pretty much my free time this week. The rest has been spent packing for my trip. I did not know if I would be here this week, and obviously I am because I'm talking to you. I do not know if I'll be here next week because I have no idea when we're leaving to come back on Saturday day means we're actually leaving.
This sounds
So,
like a very disorganized trip.
It is, because 2 days of it I was going down to Savannah to do work. And the family decided, oh, well, since you're going on somewhere on a trip for a couple days and have to stay overnight, why don't we turn it into a family vacation? Why don't we not?
Yeah, let's not.
Your family seems to have this weird tradition of mandatory family vacations. We must have a vacation as a family on this schedule of X regularity, or else.
It is. It has always been that way. Even if they only went for a day because we were money crunched when I was younger, we had to have that vacation. It had to be at least we stayed overnight at a hotel somewhere once a year. And they preferred 3 to 5 days in whatchamacallit, in Panama City Beach or some beach, usually.
But you hate beaches.
I do. So yeah, I'm going to both Tybee Island and Savannah. I'm stopping by Savannah for one job, and then I am staying there overnight to check the job in the morning, and then I'll be going to Tybee Island, and that's where the family is staying on vacation. So I'll be there. And I may not be back in time for the show. If I do get back, I probably won't have much to talk about, but I can be here in body and spirit instead of just in spirit.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, but we will see. I might pop in late if we do wind up coming in late on that day, but we will see. I may not be here at all. It's really impossible to tell until I'm actually driving out of the house, or out of the hotel rather, down to back home. So, yeah, and the rest of my week's just been packing and work. I've been swamped at work. I talk a lot about WoW Classic and played up a lot, but I didn't actually do very much in it. Like I'm not even at the level 36 hard wall that you hit. I'm level 34. So I hit the level 20 wall, and I'm mostly through the 20 to 36 wall right before you got to just basically spam Scarlet Monastery Cathedral to get any meaningful experience.
Yeah.
So I've done every major Alliance dungeon once on the way up. So I did. I went out of my way to go to Westfall and do the quest there. Did Dead Mines, wiped my Dead Mines group 3 times. Oh, I wiped them once.
That's tradition. That's tradition, that is.
Yeah, a Pat wiped us one time. I wiped us once because I backed into a Pat. And then I wiped us leaving the dungeon because I forgot that we pulled Cookie around the ship instead of, because we got him pretty close to the dock when he got out of range of the other mobs, instead of clearing there, so he couldn't jump out and just jump down and run out the back door. So I accidentally pulled Cookie. Or not pulled Cookie, but pulled the mobs that would normally lead to Cookie, and they all mobbed us on the way out. No, we all died. So that was a clown show, and I was bear tanking that. Went to Stockades next because it chains out of Dead Mines after a few quests, and did the quest line to get where you have to go get a robot has a repair bot sitting next. A gnome has a repair bot sitting next to him, and after you clear the Stockades, you realize that you need to get some magistrate to confess to a crime or get evidence of it. And the only way this gnome can think to do this is to record it with a repair bot looking robot he has. But he's not going to just talk to anybody. He's going to talk to a pretty lady. That he has a thing for the ladies. So you have to go outside of Stormwind to get 2 huge apples from an apple basket and a bunch of silk cloth for him to make a dress to stick on the robot. So did that quest chain in Stockades. Fun fact, there are not enough mobs in the Stockades to get enough to finish the kill quest. And if everybody has the quest to get the bandanas to drop, good luck.
I remember those days. Yeah.
So yeah, I had to run it twice in a row with the group because none of us had enough bandanas, and we were still missing like 3 dudes for the kill quest, and we full cleared the dungeon. But it's a short dungeon, so we just did a quick clear beeline to the final boss and got it. And then after that, I stayed up late one night and did Black Fathom Deeps in the middle of the night. And none of us in that group, we were all over leveled for it, as you usually are when you do BFD, because it's in a wonky place of the world and has to compete for the same level range as Stockades, which is much easier to get a group for. And chains.
Yeah, if you're online.
Well, yes, we all had those chasm in the horde.
I remember trying to do Stockades as the Horde. Don't.
Stockades, I have fond memories of Stockades because I played Horde. Like, Stockades was a really safe place to put together invasion groups. If you could make it to Stockades with a warlock and a couple rogues, you had a safe place to start depositing people in the center of the city.
Yes, so everyone would hide in there. As soon as someone come along, everyone would run into the dungeon.
Yeah, it's like when you're not ready to take on the entire city at once, it's the safest place you can possibly be.
It was either that or halfway down the Deep One Chain.
Yeah, and Stockades was Stockades. The dungeon itself is not very interesting to do. If you can draw the letter T on a piece of paper, a capital T, you can do Stockades. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not a very interesting dungeon, but we did that. Did Black Fathom Deeps, and I've never been happier that I got the dumb pet walrus form instead of procrastinating on it like a lot of druids do, because it makes you swim out into the fatigue zone. Because a lot of Black Fathom Deeps, you have to go underwater.
Yep.
And there are no dungeon maps in vanilla, and I mostly remembered the general direction of where to go at least, so I managed to get us there. But we didn't get enough brains, because satyrs and nagas apparently don't have brains. There's a joke there. No, I'm not going to do it.
Why would you say that?
To make the joke without actually having to explicitly say it.
To make the obvious joke without making the obvious joke.
And to get around the censors so Doc doesn't fire us. But yeah, so did that, and we got to me and one warlock, and the other guy had a hearth out to repair his gear before he came back, and he wanted to finish too. And he was a DPS class of some kinds. I think it was a mage. And so while he did that, we were two-manning the Nagas with a bear tank and a warlock trying to get these brain stems, and we accidentally stumbled upon a boss. Me and everybody else forgot this random lady Naga caster in the middle of some alcove that you have no reason to go down, that you have to swim underwater to get to. And it dropped a really nice pair of Pharaoh gloves, so that was fairly memorable. That was nice. We got all our brain stems, and then we hearthed out of there. And then I did Gnomeregan and had the nicest group in the world for the first Gnomeregan run I did. They were such good people. I added 2 to my friends list. They were really nice.
Cool.
And I was so happy to get in that group, because there's a quest in Gnomeregan that can be a bitch for groups. If you don't have a nice group, there are these boxes that look like just vertical rectangles that are scattered around the dungeon. And only one person can loot them, and they despawn after they're looted once. And you have to get 12 per person that has the quest.
Mm-hmm.
And so we turned this into a game of trying to ninja them in good fun from each other. And because everybody was so cool about it, there was no drama about it, and it just turned into a fun time. Even though I was an animal most of it and couldn't loot the stupid things. Well, in shapeshift form, I have to shift out to interact with literally anything, because bears and cats' paws don't work because no opposable thumbs, I guess.
Right, that was a thing.
Yeah. So did that run, and that worked out really well. I was glad I did that, so that my only memories of Gnomeregan in this WoW Classic revamp weren't the one I did with the guild, because that was I just beelined to the final boss and was trying to get people their punch cards as we went. I didn't stop for extra anything. I just wanted to get that group behind me. That was a disaster. You can't take people that are not going to have a fun time or in the game to have fun into Gnomeregan. If you go into that, though, just kind of accepting you may have to run it again to finish a quest, it's a fun time for everybody. And I went, and because everybody was being such a good sport about it, I talked the first group I had into just, why don't we got to go back to the clean room anyway? We can take another route there and get some more boxes so everybody finishes the quest. It's a little off the beaten path, but I know the way. And they were totally up for it after we killed the final boss instead of just bailing, and we totally did it.
Cool.
And in general, a good dungeon experience from every group I've been in. Even the Wipes and the Dead Minds group, literally everybody in the group was laughing and having a good time. They're like Pat coming, oops, and I back into it and I go, oops, in party chat, and I own up to it. They're like, it's okay, it happens. And then one guy makes a joke about how bears are fat, and everybody laughs, and it's a good time. These are the kind of reasons to play WoW Classic, is for groups and experiences like that.
Yes, in live, or actually even counted in Final Fantasy 14, if you make a mistake, it's immediately just re.
Yeah, it's just re. But in WoW Classic, if you get the right people in your group, you make a mistake, people expect you to. The game may not be mechanically complicated, but executing these simple actions it repeatedly, perfectly for the entire dungeon, when any one screw up can wipe the group, you just kind of expect bad things to happen. The alarm bots are not hard to deal with in Gnomeregan, but if you don't, you're wiped.
Mm-hmm. As long as
So
you're not a jerk about it.
So, like, with my first run, whenever an alarm bot would scream, would run by, some guy had a macro for bot, it's a robot, and would mark it automatically. So, yeah, it was a good time. You just gotta hope you get the right people. But so yeah, that is my report from the experiences I have with Classic WoW. It's run on a bit long, so I'll cut it off there, I guess.
All right.
But yeah, that is the state of the nation as I've gone through Classic WoW, and it has mostly been solo. I mean, I've been talking to people because people have been playing with me in air quotes, but the real fun time and experiences I've had have been with the groups I've got in, and just the random people I met on the street and on the way. Met a guy who'd never played WoW before, asked for a quote, "Does anybody know a good plugin so I can see health bars above enemy heads?" Oh, dude, I just used the default, is what I told him. He's like, "Oh, what's that?" "Oh, just press V on your keyboard." And he was so thankful for this. Like, this had changed his life. I'm like, oh man, I remember when I was that new. I played XX Dark Forge XX.
Yes, you did.
And I was probably a bit of a douche then too. But he was nice.
Like
so
that, it's kind of inevitable.
Also, if you are a druid in Ashenvale trying to do the quest Insane Druids and looking for a group in general chat, good luck. Because all the jokes.
All right. So happy nostalgic good times.
Yep. I have nothing but good things to say, aside from the two I mentioned before.
This feels weird, actually saying something nice about WoW.
Well, yeah, it's a part of WoW that doesn't exist. Well, until recently, we thought gone.
Yeah.
And we were mad because it was gone. And now it's not gone.
It is ungone.
And now the thing that we like is back. Yeah. I have memories of both Horde and Alliance, so I don't mind making a Horde character on somebody's server if they're Horde. I played both in vanilla, about evenly-ish. A little more Alliance than Horde, but I did play both.
All right. Shall we do some news?
We shall. And with that, there is a good segue.
All right, go for it.
Did anybody check the email box?
Yeah, there's nothing in there.
Okay.
So nothing about
There
YouTube telling us we're live because YouTube, apparently.
Yep. So I have been neglecting mentioning the server stability on the show, saving it for this little newslet.
Yeah.
Because it's a segue, and then I can let y'all get some words in after this one if I can find it. I posted it. I know I did.
Yeah.
Dang it! Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, so today is my last day before my trip. I log on. I'm in the middle of Arathi Highlands. I'm trying to do some quests, and I get disconnected. Okay, we've had the occasional disconnects, but it ain't ever been real bad in Classic WoW. I mean, the queue times were pretty bad for a few days, but no server issues. I think they've had to restart 2 or 3 times due to a couple issues, which is expected for an MMO launch or expansion launch or a big content launch. Sometimes you just got to reboot the server because you done goofed something. Okay. Everything so far has been expected on Blizzard on Blizzard's end. It has not strayed outside the standard deviation of what is the expected number of issues to have. In fact, it's fairly low, all things considered. This has been a very smooth launch. But today, a huge DDoS attack has been going for all week, apparently. WoW Classic, Overwatch, Twitch, and a few other game services were on this group's docket today to hit. And the DDoS attack was so bad, we were getting server rollback constantly. So, like, I wasn't, once I got back in Arathi, I was killing Syndicate dudes, and I was off to kill some trolls for some Witherbark tusks. And I got my Syndicate dudes, and then I went off and I'm killing the trolls for the Witherbark dudes for about 10 minutes, and then server goes down. Okay, I'm in the other Discord because other people are talking to me, and somebody mentioned the game comes back up. Come back in, log in. I'm all the way back at the farm killing Syndicate members at the when I just finished that quest and lost all progress on my Witherbark trolls. Everybody else had a similar story of how they're now suddenly surrounded by tarantulas, or they were
sounds like my
That's a nightmare.
Really.
or they were rolled back. Abo got rolled back into a position he was at on a flight path and fell out of the sky.
Oh joy, that's an old bug.
Yeah, that's rollback for you. And yeah, it was a thing.
At least no one ended up with the randomly teleported above Stone Talon Mountains bug.
Yeah, well,
that's when it can't find where to put you back. What?
So it puts you
causes that
back
to happen.
at point 0.
Thankfully, I didn't get that bug. I got the one that always drops you in the front of Orgrimmar, though.
Oh yeah.
Even on Alliance, you get dropped in the front of Orgrimmar. That one happened a few times to me, but yeah. So the game was basically unplayable on all servers from around 12 o'clock until about 5 o'clock today, on Eastern time anyway.
Yeah, is there a why they did it?
It's just a DDoSers. Blizzard said we're working on their official blue post was very short. It was something along the lines of, we're working on the problem. We're not going to give any publicity to terrorists. Bear with us. We're trying to fix it.
So it's the old reason of they're douche canoes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, both 4chan and Kiwi Farms have doxed the guy to hell and back again, who is the one mostly responsible for it. So he's going to have law enforcement knocking on his door pretty soon.
Good.
So good job, dude.
Do not annoy the internet.
There are 2 image boards and a random forum named after Vol State Bird. Those 3 places.
And they're full of incredibly autistic, vengeful people.
They are some of the most diligent idiots you'll ever meet in your life, who will just decide that you need to be roasted on an open fire if you do stuff like this.
Good times.
Do not make a big enough scene on the internet to get noticed by 4chan has been an unspoken rule of the internet forever. And if you forget it, this happens to you. And next week, one of the headlines will probably be DDoS guy gets arrested. So yeah, that has been an ongoing thing this week as your little news segue from weeks to news. So why don't y'all take over, because I've talked for a while about the other news that's out there.
All right. Stuff actually happened this week.
Although I don't think most of it was of particular import.
No, not really. Okay, there's one that Vol threw up, actually, which is... I'm just finding it very amusing. EVE Online is doing a thing. So they're looking at a new service trying to help people who are new to the game stick around. And they've noticed that when people lose their first ship, which inevitably you will because it's EVE, and spaceships tend to be volatile.
Yes.
They are offering online grief counseling.
Uh-huh.
This is more of like the modern MMO player is just maladapted to old school MMOs, because EVE's basically got all of the old school aspects of the Wild West MMO cranked up to 11.
Yes, it does.
And it's just doubly funny because it isn't like you can apply for the counseling. If you are a newish player and lose your first ship, a GM gets notified, and then you go on a list for them to contact you.
Yeah, it's not a matter of, so it's not a matter of if, but when you lose your first ship,
you're going to get some therapy from a guy that probably got this being added to his docket randomly.
Yeah.
By his higher up. I would hate to be a GM for EVE Online. Just have my boss walk in like, okay, look, the higher ups say we got to do this now. And you just look at the paper that your boss has given you. You look at your boss and go, what? And
What?
your boss just gives you a shrug with his hands up in the most comedic fashion ever, and just throws his hands up in the air and leaves.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what played out over at CCCP. Or CCCP. How many C's? It's 2.
Lots.
Yeah.
But
Multiple
yeah, it's just, you know, to be fair, that game is incredibly impenetrable, and a player could be forgiven for not knowing what to do.
A block of
if they lost their
titanium
only
is
ship.
impenetrable.
Well, here's the other thing that I thought that made me raise an eyebrow about that announcement. They say it gives you, the mod will give you a free ship.
It'll be a frigate.
Okay.
It'll be the starting frigate, because you could already get a free starting frigate if you lost your last ship.
So it just more or less nudges you along a little bit.
Yeah, it's basically, you had to know that you could get your ship replaced.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know what would happen and you blew up and was like, oh, yeah, great, now I'm back at the last station I was at, and I don't have a ship, I can't play the game, I don't understand, I lost all my progress, I lost all my cargo. Like, there's a lot of confusion sets in if you don't know what you're doing.
So I think there's an opportunity for us to force an interview here. If we all go start a new EVE Online account and we all get our ships blown up, let's try and corner a few mods and ask them about what it's like to be forced into mandatory player counseling when they weren't trained for this.
Look, as far as applying a personal face to the game, it's a great idea, but calling it grief counseling is probably not a great thing.
I don't know if they are calling it grief counseling, or whether the people reporting on it are tongue-in-cheek calling it grief counseling, because I don't know if it's grief. It's usually rage. That's been my experience.
It's usually rage, but
you can't say anger management to your customers. They might get angry.
You can't say anything to your customers. They might get angry. This is the internet. But
I presume that this is a retention thing for them, because there's probably a pretty high attrition rate for people who get blown up by some trolling pirate or whatever. Because usually, if you lose your ship early on, when you've only got the one and you don't really know what you're doing, it's because somebody was being, like, aggressively being an idiot, because you're generally pretty safe in the starting areas. The odds of you getting killed by a person are pretty low, because, you know, the cops will come after you. It's bad. Like, you need to be retardedly powerful in order to be confident to risk a ship on just trolling in the highest security areas. Mm-hmm. But the other scenario is probably you just didn't understand how to operate your ship or what was necessary. There's a lot of information that you just don't have access to that you need to know, because EVE is a game that has gotten significantly more complicated as time went on, but it was never very interested in giving you lengthy tutorials. And when they eventually did introduce lengthy tutorials to explain every little thing, they were so lengthy that I think most people skipped them probably. Because there's so many systems to explain. So you can get yourself in strife because you don't understand what's important in combat, or how to even to navigate the combat interface, how it's important, though, because like there are concepts. The concepts in EVE for combat, for instance, are mostly cribbed out of naval warfare of various sorts. It's not like World of Warcraft. Technically speaking, yes, you could call it a hotkey MMO because hotkeys are used. But in World of Warcraft, you don't set an orbit distance around your target and put your ship in an orbit, like where you will continually circle the opponent while charging and discharging your weapons like that, and maintaining hull integrity and shield strength and that. It's a totally different kettle of fish. EVE does not have transferable skills from other MMOs.
No.
Nor do you immediately revive instantaneously when you die like you do in almost every other MMO. So there's a lot of culture shock. And while it's one thing to call it grief counseling, I think that it's probably like if you die under retarded circumstances, you're probably suffering from culture shock, and a GM will be able to guide you on your way to acclimation.
I am mostly getting my laughs on this from the GM's perspective.
Yeah.
because if I was a GM for EVE Online, I would be expecting not the type of player that would need somebody to come console them or explain things to them, because these people are used to being highly autistic and looking up absolutely everything about the game nonstop. And it would probably not be on my docket. And now not only is it going to be a regular thing, my boss has mandated that I do it to literally every single new player. Like, it's just funny to me.
It is it's goofy, very goofy. Ah, well. All right, what else we got? Who wants to talk about Epic Store? Nobody. Never mind. Silly question.
Yeah, nobody really wants to talk about the Epic Store. The Epic Store seems to want everybody to talk about them, and I can understand that from a PR perspective. However, I think that they are being talked about for the wrong reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe somebody should tell their PR department that.
If they can wake them up.
Yeah, so basically it seems that the Epic Store don't have functionality, right? Like the big Epic Store doesn't have functionality. Shtick of the moment lately has been Borderlands, right? They didn't have, well, they had announced that they didn't have any capacity to do preloads for Borderlands 3. You know, an enormous blockbuster of a game that was going to have ridiculously overloaded download servers on the day, guaranteed. You know, the what you would expect, basically. And this is something that, if I recall correctly, Valve was able to provide for Half-Life 2. Yes. Does anybody care to look up how long ago that was? Because I don't know how long ago Half-Life 2 came out.
But they don't have things like user reviews or, you know, a shopping cart.
Yeah, addendum to that, though, while I'm finishing that thought, while it was just an example, it seems like they found a way to shove development of preloading capacity onto Gearbox, who I wonder if they had realized that it would be necessary for them to do this for basic functionality for the distribution of their Epic exclusive game, but it sounds, based on the press releases, like they somehow cajoled Borderlands, the Gearbox team, onto getting it done in time for Borderlands. So it was probably like, well, I mean, we told you that we had these features were still coming and they wouldn't be ready, and you signed the exclusivity deal. It's not our fault. So it seems like Gearbox doesn't want to actually release the game as a steaming turd of doesn't work because you can't download it. But yeah, that functionality has been crashed out super quick and may result in a hilarious initial deployment. I don't know, because I don't know how well it's been tested.
I hope it does.
Where I'm going with this is that, yes, it's still true. Epic still doesn't have the majority of their features, but most notably, they have now removed any sort of like timelined promises of those features from their roadmap entirely. So technically speaking, this is now no longer a roadmap, but a wish list. Yeah. These are the things we would like to do at some point in the future in order to have basic functionality in our platform.
Oh, jeez. The whole thing's just embarrassing. Like, developers, there's stories of developers out there who are starting to kind of second guess their decisions in regards to the Epic Store, and not in a good way.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like they got handed a big pile of money, and that's a real attractive thing initially, but
and then
there's no such thing as
at the bottom is all the poop that is the consumer hate for you.
Well, the thing is, ultimately, it comes down to a much more fundamental principle, in that there is no such thing as a free lunch. Everybody should know this. Apparently, I've been finding that there are people who actually grow up without ever learning it, but there is no such thing as a free lunch, and there is no such thing as a free huge pile of money that should be, if anything, even more obvious than the lunch situation.
I don't know about you guys, but I didn't get fed if I didn't do my chores at home. when I was a little kid.
Okay.
I never dared to find out. So yeah, but yeah, there's no such thing as a huge free pile of money being handed to you by Uncle Moneybags. So a lot of these people are going to, before too long, start discovering where exactly the hooks are in all of this, where they have traded away something that they might have had otherwise in order to get that big pile of dosh. And, for a lot of people, that might be something as simple as being, shackled to this absolutely stinkingly odious name that is the Epic Store, because let's face it, their PR is not awesome. And for other people, it's going to be things like what Gearbox must have found out. There's, this fundamental feature that we need for a successful deployment of a AAA blockbuster just doesn't exist, and they are saying that we aren't going to do it for you, so you better code it up yourself, guys. Because I'm pretty sure that's what's going to have happened in the background. So it's a question, I suppose, of how early on in the process that agreement was made. But yeah, I was like, they are having to be using the people who are their clients, in a sense, as crutches in order to have basic functionality. And now they're not willing to promise anything. Maybe that means they think that they're going to be able to farm development of each of those features out to AAA developers who want to launch things on their platform. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's an excuse. Well, I mean, eventually what's going to happen is nobody's going to want to take on your chores anymore. So yeah, the Epic stinks to high heaven and continues to smell worse by the day. I don't know what sort of market penetration they're getting. I haven't seen any numbers on that or anything. There are people who will
close to their chest.
Well, yeah, because they probably realize at some point that bad PR is just bad PR, and bad optics is bad optics. There's no, in a certain sense, there's no such thing as bad PR. However, if bad hard data got into people's hands, investors listen to that.
Yes.
So yeah, they're keeping actual market penetration information very close to their chest. It's true, but there are people who will buy into pretty much anything for a big title. Borderlands 3 is going to have been important for them based on how well they managed to deploy it, because they may just cause Gearbox to swear off ever going with them ever again. Alternatively, things might go really well and they might see a surge in use. But other than Borderlands 3, which is still a case to be proven, I don't think that they really have a killer app that's going to seize their position in the market. Valve made theirs in-house, and they did that with the plan. Like the Half-Life series was effectively the engine which pulled the trailer along for getting Steam established. That was how they executed on it. In the case of Epic, Fortnite gave them the dosh, but it didn't. Fortnite already existed, and everybody who was playing Fortnite's already playing Fortnite, and they can't really use that to peddle the Epic store in a very effective fashion. I mean, people will just be a lot, because I suppose it seems to me to be true that a lot of the people who play Fortnite only play Fortnite. They aren't really interested in striking out and playing some other big blockbuster game, because if they did, they'd fall behind in Fortnite and they wouldn't have the latest skins, and their friends at school would bully them. So, which is apparently a thing that actually happens.
It is a thing. Apparently, default is now an insult.
Yeah, I've heard that. To call somebody default is an insult. Yeah, it's I want Epic to fail. Like, in a sense, it would be ideal if instead of failing, they just stopped sucking so much. But since they don't seem inclined to do that, I really want them to get their just desserts.
Yeah.
Like they are their developer-facing features are good, but their customer-facing features are about as appalling as it gets. So, yeah.
We shall see, but I think Borderlands, either Borderlands or The Outer World, more Borderlands is going to be the telling app on it.
yeah, Borderlands is the name that even the normies know. So
Yeah. Like, if it tanks hard enough, what are the odds that Gearbox is going to try and wiggle out of the contract?
Yeah, they're not going to want to go down with the ship, I don't think.
Hmm.
And I don't actually think that it'll be an abject failure, but it could get off to a rough start.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see what the numbers behind their sales are once they launch on Steam, too.
Yeah. It would be hard. I think it would also be heartening to see the people who were going to boycott the Epic Store actually stick to their guns. Because I've never seen people bother to stick to their guns before.
I mean, this is a little different than Modern Warfare 2 boycott or something. It's mostly, it's not like it's just a click away to ignore your boycott. You have to download the whole client and put up with its terrible performance and work your way through it to get to Borderlands, to then not preload it, and then wait for a while, and then you can play it. And you got no shopping cart, so it's not like you're going to be tempted to buy anything else other than Borderlands while you're in there.
Even if you wanted to, you'd have to go through the whole process again.
And if you do, you're going to accidentally lock your bank account because you made 2 rapid transactions on the same location for about the same amount of money, and your bank's going to pause your card and give you a call and go, hey, there's some weird activity on your account, and you're going to be disheartened towards Epic because of it. I'm just giving you a play-by-play of what's going to happen if you use the Epic Game Store, folks. Don't do it.
Nobody wants a call from their bank.
No.
I get that phone call from my bank all the dang time because they're really oversensitive about that stuff. Like, all of a sudden, my card won't work, and I'm like, 3, 2. Hey, did you know there's some suspicion? Yes, I did it.
My bank tends not to be quite so rigid, but once they do get the burr up them, then they can be a right pain.
Yeah,
I've never gotten that call because I'm too poor.
My bank's for small bank people. It's not for rich people. they are not the best, but they're not the worst. So I get that call quite regularly because they get concerned over not even 3-digit transactions happening in rapid succession. Like, you spend $20 3 times in a row in the same store within 30 minutes of the first purchase, and they're like, hey, we locked your account. There's some weird stuff going on. I'm like, okay, guys, I know. Yes. I bought 3 sets of several card packs in Yu-Gi-Oh! On iPhone.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay. Can you verify these random 3 accounts, these transactions that happened in the last few days, and be sure they're you? Yes, they're me. Can you pull it up? Because we're going to throw a few dummies in there, too, just to be sure you're not just lying to us and saying yes, and you are somehow the hacker with the guy's phone number. Like, I appreciate your diligence, guys. But chill the F out.
I mean, there have been some pretty freaking out there social engineering scams have been going on, though. Like, we had to go through yet another big training spiel at work over it because the company I work for has been hit pretty hard by ransomwares and that sort of thing. But they made a really elaborate online training program, and with voice acting and everything.
Wow.
And they present some pretty compelling scams, really. Like, they've provided actual examples for ones that people have managed to catch on to before they got too far in that, like people impersonating certain figures within the company and that sort of thing. There are people who are very, very, very good at it, pretending to be someone else. So, yeah. There's probably, they don't want any liability to end up falling on them, so it's easier to just annoy your customers and be ultra, ultra, ultra diligent than risk the outside chance that that person is actually, a scammer who just happens to be quite good at their job.
Yeah, I was going to say, giant air quotes.
Well, I mean, I don't know that these people aren't working for, like, Chinese gold farmer outfits. I mean, they might be paid a wage for all I know.
I just would love to see that on a resume. So, what's your history? What's your work history, man? Well, I was a Chinese gold farmer for a while.
Take a look at some of these stories about pyramid schemes. It's all there.
I was in Deadwind Pass, and the scythe of a loon dropped, and then some crazy undead came over and punched me in the face and took it, and I couldn't sell it to make gold.
Oh dear.
Remember when Oxhorn was good?
Now all he does is defend Fallout, like, constantly.
Mhm.
Oh, that's right. They're putting out the expansion soon.
Are you going to care about it?
Maybe.
You don't sound enthusiastic.
I might look at it when I'm playing Monster Hunter or Final Fantasy or whatever, something shiny comes along.
You need to get in on the hot new Battle Royale.
No. Just no.
But they put Battle Royale in Fallout. That's going to make everybody want to play it, right? They'll be the next Fortnite.
Terrible.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
Those are some famous last words.
Yeah.
Don't choke on them. I've choked on them last words way too many times to count. Remember when I said that and we got a show?
Yeah. So, Nintendo did a thing.
Did do a thing. I didn't watch the thing, but I got the play-by-play live from Abo as he was watching the thing.
Alright, I'm just going to go down using their order. Their big headlines is they had a special message from Tom Nook. Essentially, it seems like he's trapping people on islands and recruiting them as slave labor now.
I don't know what a Tom Nook is.
The raccoon from Animal Crossing.
He has your mortgage.
If you don't have a mortgage, he will just give you a mortgage you don't want. Tom Nook is some sort of... He's got to be tied in the mafia, let's face it.
He's the closest thing to a quote-unquote villain that Animal Crossing has.
Yeah.
He is the bad guy that takes all your money.
But he never goes to jail.
You have to pay the... Neither do real criminals. Just take a look at our government.
But it's supposed to be an idyllic world, though, isn't it?
I really hope.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're gonna get to talking about a topic at one of these weeks, and that I have not been too sanguine about how the legal system has come down with. If it turns out some of the rumors are true, some foreshadowing for future weeks. Not this week, but eventually.
Yeah, let's not. So that's just a little bit about the new Animal Crossing. It looks like Animal Crossing. Except, yes, you're indentured slave labor this time. And there's no hope of escape.
This is sounding more like a dystopian game than a Animal Crossing game. This does not sound like the normal shtick at all.
Don't think about Animal Crossing too hard. It gets dark.
No, you're supposed to not think about it too hard, aren't you?
You are.
You're not supposed to play it unless you're a child without the capacity to think too hard.
Yes. When you realize, otherwise you realize that you're stuck in an endless loop performing asinine tasks day after day for a
But I do that
raccoon who
IRL.
doesn't care.
Well, maybe not for a raccoon.
We got some Pokemon news. They got a Pokemon that's T because it's Britain. But what's even weirder is this is for Pokemon Curry and Rice now, as the meme goes.
They did ice cream.
They did ice cream, but no, what they've done is, instead of doing the national decks, they've done the curry decks. You make curry.
What? Out of Pokemon?
Presumably. I mean, you've got to get your meat from somewhere.
Are there animals in the Pokemon world?
Apparently, yes. They got a fish who is a Pokemon that is not a Pokemon that gets fired as a missile by their googly-eyed seagull reveal. I see. This new blue seagull thing. It looks like something out of a Pixar movie, one of the googly-eyed chickens or something.
Oh, was that the pelican-looking thing that people kept telling me didn't look like a pelican?
It doesn't look a thing like a pelican. It looks like a googly-eyed seagull. So there's that, but everyone is just memeing the curry decks back and forth. Because it seems it's a completely pointless addition.
Oh, it's stupid.
Instead of using
I don't understand what you're talking about at all. I don't understand what curry has to do with Pokemon.
Exactly.
It doesn't have it. That is why it's so WTF. It has nothing to do with Pokemans.
Yeah.
Nobody, and I mean nobody, cares about Curry in Pikaman?
Nah.
The only reason that they're doing it is because the setting is vaguely based on Britain.
But shouldn't that be cooking random entrails and hoping you get something edible?
Oh, come on, half the population of Britain is from Pakistan or India these days.
That's a
Nope,
excellent
nope,
if
nope, nope.
racist point.
It's true, though. Well, if you're looking at London.
So I'm not sure where the whole curry and rice things come from, but just why? It's just completely unnecessary.
Pokemon. Burkas,
No.
and I'll stop.
You had best.
You'd better, yes.
Fern is gonna kill me one of these days. He's gonna. Fern is like the king of homosexual brave and bored ops for the SJW types, and he's just gonna come murder both of us one day.
What?
This is my
What does that
theory.
even mean?
You're actually an operative from the opposite side, and you're gonna murder us. Specifically me.
Right. Okay, tinfoil hats on, everyone, I guess.
This is my
Yeah,
crazy
I don't
thought.
understand what he's talking about either.
I have no
Like, this
idea.
is a bit beyond crazy crackpot. Like, Alex Jones would say, I think you need to simmer down a little bit.
Oh dear, oh dear. So what else we get? We get another look at Luigi's Mansion 3, which actually looks good, unlike Luigi's Mansion 2, which really
Is that the one with the
What's,
weird slime Luigi?
Yes, it is.
That's really weird.
But they've at least acknowledged what made the first Luigi's Mansion good in the first place, which was all the unique boss fights. Like, Luigi's Mansion 2 had no unique boss fights. Everything was just some variation of the standard mob. Or it was just a new variation, which is going to turn up as a regular mob from now on. That was your bosses. Even
It
the
seems
final-
it seems a bit strange that they would make a mistake like that, because bosses are like the selling point for so many different genres of game.
Yeah. Even the final boss, actually, which was King Boo, it was not the final boss. As a fight, he was ridiculously easy. But the stairs before him would take half an hour to climb.
And it turned out that King Boo wasn't the final boss. Spoilers for a billion-year-old game.
Yeah, spoilers for a game that no one really played. So it's
I
looking
love
good.
Billy.
It's looking really good. They've got the unique bosses again. It's a giant hotel, so no more faffing around in some weird level-based system again.
Good.
And they don't
Sounds
seem to
good so
have
far.
any other plot except there be ghosts. Go vacuum them.
Sounds good to me. That's all the original was.
That's all the original was. Actually, the original was there's Mario in the mansion, but who cares about that? There be ghosts.
Yeah, it was Mario got kidnapped, but there's some ghosts, and I got a vacuum cleaner, dude. You want to go suck them up for me? Oh, sure,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll suck on some ghosts.
I'm going to go hang out with this mad scientist over here. All right. We have more bits and pieces about the the Secret of Mana Igori's remakes, and they showed off a little bit of the voice acting, and it was appalling.
Was it as bad as it was when they first had the trailer last time?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, whoever's doing... I don't know who's involved in that, but I remember cringing at it last time.
Yeah, the voice acting is just really bad. But that's fine. Like, bad voice acting in video games is not a deal breaker for me, honestly. I just find it amusing most of the time. Let me see. We got a new game there about apparently using random strangers as combat weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We got Overwatch coming to the Switch, which nobody cares about. We got Dauntless coming to the Switch, which nobody cares about because it's inferior to Monster Hunter, and I fight you if you say otherwise.
Yeah, them fighting words for you, Fern?
Them's fighting words. They're not very hard fighting words either. Because you're just wrong. You're flat out wrong. We have a new port of Divinity Original Sin 2, which is cool. But what's more interesting about it is it's actually got cross-save with Steam. So you can play it 4-player co-op on your Switch, or you can just go to Steam, move the save over, and keep playing there. Why don't more games do this?
Probably because they have to negotiate for it, and it's a pain in the neck.
Probably.
Mhm.
But it seems like the sort of feature that the Switch is ideal for.
Which is
Yeah.
probably why they've got it, but it's not really as important for other platforms.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're playing Divinity on, say, your PS4, you're going to play it on your PS4 or on your or on your PC. You're not going to want to switch between the two regularly. It's not something which has a lot of demand.
Yeah.
Switching between the main consoles for a big game, if you've already bought the big game on one of those consoles, you're not likely to buy it on another one. This is why Sony just gave you for free the copy for the other version back when they were doing Vita and PS3 simultaneous releases.
Cross-buy,
They would
yes.
just give you the Vita copy. Yeah, they would just give you the Vita copy for free because if you already own it on one, you're not going to go out and buy the other one. So just give it to you as a sign of goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
Back before Sony got its big head or got
Yes.
infiltrated or whatever the heck happened to them.
Yep. What else we got? We've got a remake of. Well, they try to play it coy, but they're really terrible about it. Xenoblade Chronicles. Really, really good game, but it was on the Wii, so nobody took it seriously the first time around.
I wanted to play it, but it was on the Wii, or the Wii U rather.
It
And,
never was ported to the Wii U. It was the Wii and the 3DS.
Oh no, that's right. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was the one on the Wii U.
That's right. Well, Xenoblade Chronic. What was it now? The one with the robots, anyway.
There's a lot of games with robots.
Actually, that's Xenoblade Chronicles as well.
This is not very helpful description.
Yeah, but
Xenoblade is. Yeah, I don't know the first one, but I did play a bit of the second one, and
Yeah,
I wanted to
it's-
play more of it, but I didn't because Wii U.
yeah, the one on the Wii U was a spin-off where it's set more futuristic rather than kind of fantasy slapped into a futuristic world type deal.
Oh no, the one on the Wii U, it was a separate universe, or not separate universe. It was a separate world in the same universe,
Yeah,
but it was totally canon sequel. It was the official sequel.
yeah, that's 2, which is also
Yeah.
on the Switch.
On
It was the launch
Okay,
title of the
okay, yeah.
Switch. Yeah, the
you
one
were
on the
saying
Wii U
that,
was the one with the
that
mecha.
2. Yeah, no, the one on the Wii U was 2. That's where 2 launched. It launched on the Wii U.
I'm gonna have to check this.
I'm really confused because I didn't play any of them, and I can't follow what you're talking about.
I'm fairly certain Fern's got some release dates a little wonky with what he's describing, so that's why I'm calling him on it. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my medium armor kit.
Let me see. Xenoblade Chronicles X was the one on the Wii U, and that was the one with the mecha.
So what was 2 released on?
Hang on, I'm digging for that.
Why is there an X? What is X?
Because
That's 10.
That was the spin-off.
Why couldn't it have been 1.5?
Let's ask old Papa Google. Because Google owns you.
It's like Papa Google in the same way you might say Papa Stalin.
Yes, it was. So here we go. Let me see. Xenoblade Chronicles, the original, was on the Wii and ported to the 3DS, new 3DS rather, because it was one of the few games that actually defined that. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is on the Switch.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It was just me brain farting.
Chronicles X
So
is
I'll
on
eat
the
my
Wii
I will destroy my medium armor kits.
U.
I was positive it was on the Wii U, though.
No, you might be thinking of X.
I might be.
If you
But,
think if
yeah.
it's got mecha in it and it's not somewhat twee, then that's X.
I don't remember. And now that you mention it, I'm like, just now. Oh, whatever. You keep going. I'm clearly off in some other timeline where these releases were different.
So yeah, they're just porting that over to the Switch now, so people would actually play it. Xenoblade Chronicles is a very good game, by the way. The first one. I haven't played the second, so I don't know yet.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
X I enjoyed, though it is grindy and it tends to disappear up its own arse occasionally.
I have no idea what you're trying to imply by that.
If you're Australian, you know exactly what that means.
No, they don't. I think you're wrong about that, sir.
But yeah, it gets bogged down and tries to draw out its moral story and kind of fails every time. So yeah. So yeah, that's another one. They're also doing Star Wars Jedi Knight 2.
Why? Like, why would you suddenly pick that game?
I mean, I could kind of understand nostalgia with Jedi Academy, and that's a playable game. It's not a good game. There's
I liked
problems.
It has some issues, but I liked it.
Yeah, I loved it. It's not a very good game, though. Technically speaking, it has a lot of shoes with the hit detection and shenanigans going on with the lightsaber.
It was way more ambitious than the engine was able to accommodate.
Yeah, I played it online in a ranked PvP guild.
Oh my!
I played it online, but never seriously
on Xbox Live.
But why though?
Because he was like 14.
Yeah,
right.
Whenever this game came out. My guildmaster made us pick out our favorite Sith Lord, because we were Sith for everybody, online from our favorite Star Wars. And I picked Darth Revan because I like KOTOR.
I mean,
and that
you're correct.
You were such a dweeb.
And that was our profile on the guild website.
Wow.
If you encounter my, under 15-year-old self time traveling into the future, you're free to shoot him. You have my blessing.
I was just going to say, settle for a punch in the face. Just
no. You can shoot him. You can chop his limbs off and torture him first if you want.
Jedi Academy came out 16 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Get off my lawn.
And yet it's still the most recent game in that series.
Yeah. Bit sad, actually.
Also completely non-canon now.
Of course, it was one of the many things that was scrubbed from the canon. But hey,
I mean, they're still making it. That's the thing. I'm a bit surprised that the House of Mouse is willing to allow more non-canon Star Wars out in the wild. But I guess at this point they figure they can't destroy it any more than they already have.
I just don't think they care anymore. So it's like they're waving this around saying, hey, remember where Star Wars games were fun? I was going to say good, but not quite.
Didn't that series originally have FMV or something? I've got a vague memory of that.
I think one of them did, yeah.
In Dark Forces 2 or something?
Yeah, I think it was Dark Force. One of the Dark Forces ones. Yeah, FMV is never a good idea. Don't ever FMV. Oh boy.
People thought it was the way of the future once upon a time. I remember they released board games with FMV that you stuck a VHS in or something.
I had a Star Trek one where you'd play the board game, move around the Enterprise, and have the video playing in the background on the VHS. I mean, really. And every now and again, it would just cut into the Klingon who'd taken over the Enterprise, and he'd order you to do something. But because it was VHS, it was the same every time. So if you were clever and you knew when things were coming, if you keep a watch handy or something, get your timings right, you could dump these burdens on other people.
I see.
So you could take a long time taking your turn, or you could go really quickly to try and get it to the next person, so you don't have to deal with this really badly acted Klingon.
Oh dear.
They had the proper sets and the proper costumes and everything. It's just the guy who was kind of a bit hammy.
And then there's everybody's favorite FMV game, Escape from Horrorland.
Oh boy, yes.
With Jeff Goldblum.
I read that book I read the book from R.L. Stine about that before I played it. And,
the book was fine.
I don't think so, actually. It's an R.L. Stine book, and most of those are pretty bad.
Well, yeah, you go back as an adult and they're pretty bad.
But the point is, it's funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's creepy, disturbing vampire Jeff Goldblum.
Pedophile vampire Jeff Goldblum, that is.
That is, yes.
I hear that he's got a new TV series coming up where it sounds like he just goes into people's houses and talks about the things that he sees. I don't know. I don't even know. About he's getting a TV show.
Okay, I'm going to see how long I can take. It'll take for someone to kick me out of their house.
I don't know. I don't know. But he's got that way of talking about things that's very distinctive to him.
it might be informative, but it is still incredibly irritating.
Like, he's one of those characters who, no matter what film he's in, he plays the same guy.
He does.
Every time I see him, it's just Jeff Goldblum finds a way. Because
Well,
I remember his Jurassic Park quote.
Yeah, that was his most popular, most famous role. But wasn't he also in like Independence Day and a few other
Yes.
things like that
He was in so much
around that time?
The only
Same
movie I
guy.
specifically remember, the only thing I specifically remember he ever did was whatchamacallit, whatever I just said, Jurassic Park. But see, I have trouble even remember that. But he's in so much crap, I just don't even recognize him as being iconic in any role. He's just Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. And Escape from Horrorland for some reason. Like, what was his agent thinking?
I think his agent may have been drunk.
His agent seems like the type of agent that like Nick Cage has. That just like
Oh no, Nick Cage is a different story. Nick Cage is in trouble with the law. That's why he takes every job that gets thrown at him.
oh
It doesn't even go through through an agent so much as like he owes like $1 bajillion dollars of back taxes that he evaded, and he has to pay them off. And so he just takes whatever work he can get without discriminating, because it all disappears straight away anyway.
He's a vampire, not the bees.
So essentially, it's turned him into a walking meme.
If I was in his position and I had done something that stupid, I would embrace my meme hood and at least try to have some fun before the government comes to kick my butt.
Admittedly, you can't fault him, because he does seem to at least have fun with his roles.
Well,
Yeah.
and occasionally he does one well. Like, I haven't seen it, but I heard his performance in Lord of War is actually really good.
Nice.
But not.
But most of the time he's not that guy. Most of the time he's doing things like Drive Angry and that.
And the Ghost Rider. Oh man, nobody talks about his performance in Ghost Rider because it's not very quotable. But the Nick Cage faces in it when he's like transforming into the Ghost Rider for the first time and stuff are some of the best.
Oh, the
Because they have bad CG mixed in. Because Ghost Rider has a lot of CG in it, so you get a lot of Nick Cage face with CG mixed in it as he's transitioning, and it's the funniest thing in the world.
And it's not old school CG as well. Like, it's not polished. It's not convincing.
It's downright bad.
Yeah.
It's effectively trying to put a cartoon character in real life, but it's Nick Cage, so Nick Cage is already a cartoon character, just in
Yeah. The only other
We're
thing
talking about Jeff Goldblum.
we're talking about Nintendo news.
Yes, because it was Jeff Goldblum. We were talking about Nick Cage because of Jeff Goldblum, because of Escape from Horrorland, because of FMV games, because of Dark Forces 2, because of Jedi Academy coming to Switch.
There you go. I'm actually
There you
surprised
go.
you managed to keep track of that.
I lost that one and Volk kept it. I'm surprised. He did good.
Tangent.
I'm
Bros.
in the zone running circles around Camp Tranquil.
Of course.
I'm
So
fishing.
the only stuff other note from Nintendo is their Smash Brothers news. So they just said, "Oh, when's the Bear and the Bird coming out? Right now. Here you go."
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to play them. I'll probably
play
play
them.
it with my sister. I'm taking my Switch with me on my trip, so my sister plays Smash, and it's like the only thing we can do and remain civil with each other. So we might be playing some of that too.
Their costume announcement made me throw up in my mouth, though.
Oh,
Yes, Sans.
For saying, I laughed so hard. All the Undertale kitties that are posting in every comment thread and trying to make a forced. Do you remember when forced memes were a thing? That's what
do
the
you mean,
Sans should
remember
be.
when they still are.
Well, they still are, but like there were memes that grew organically, but then there were the people that would try to push them on 4chan. They get a little traction,
Yeah.
but they were always not as good and just didn't have the same feel to them. So yeah, the Sans needs to be in Smash. It feels like a forced meme to me from all the Undertale kitties that show up in the Smash comments.
The thing is that Sans has been a meme for a long time, but I never played Undertale, so I don't understand why.
He's
Like, why is he a meme? None of the other characters in that game are memes, but why is Sans a meme?
Sans has a lot of iconic roles in the game, especially most notable being he has Megalovania as his background music, which is really popular with people, and he's the last boss of the hardest route of the game where you have to kill everything, and he's intentionally made unfair.
Yeah.
and so many players spent many hours wiping on him. So they got Sans stuck in their head as more memorable than any of the other monster type characters in the game because they had to actually do a hard boss fight.
I see.
And it is stupid. Like the game deliberately makes it not fair.
Yeah, it just
Like,
outright cheats.
Like if you watch a video of it, you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, it's not impossible, but yeah, good luck doing that on your first go.
You're not going to do it your first go. You're going to be there for at least about 20 minutes grinding him if you're good at video games.
And the game remembers and mocks you for it.
So how does he stack up against the content that you've been clearing in Hollow Knight in terms of frustration bullcrap?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy every moment of Hollow Knight, even the hard parts, but he's nowhere near like Ascended Pale Knight or something. That guy took me 3 hours, and
So what you're saying is that Sans is hard for normies.
Yes.
Yeah, Sans is hard for normies. He would probably take me about 5 or 6 wipes before I got him down.
So that's the other thing is, yeah, you've got the Sans, and he's not a proper fighter. He's a Mii costume, so
Thank goodness.
The fighter that was announced was Terry Bogard from the King of Fighters series, I believe, or Fatal Fury, which I think are the same
Both.
series.
He's from both. Yes.
Yeah.
Same. They're in the same universe. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
Is there a new King of Fighters coming out?
There's always a new King of Fighters coming out.
They just don't seem to be very well received, so I don't notice them.
They did patch KOF, whatever the latest one was, to be a fairly good game from what I understand, but the damage had already been done.
Yeah, you can't repair a fighter from a bad launch. I've never seen it done.
Fighters' life cycles
never works, yeah.
Normally, most fighting games' life cycles are too short.
Yeah,
You
well,
can't do
practice
that.
time is at a premium and the life cycle is short, so you just can't relaunch.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a thing.
So yeah, Terry's going to be the new fighter, so he's going to get a level and he's going to get his soundtracks as well, which is really good. But Sakurai then just turned around and said, "Oh, we're not done making fighters after this batch of fires."
Somebody at Nintendo saw the money it brought in and had a thunk. Now this is hard for Nintendo. They
It's
don't
fine.
normally have a thunk.
Sakurai
Mario!
doesn't sleep
But,
anyway.
I mean, it's fine. I'm glad they have realized there is demand, but it's just somebody at Nintendo had a thunk, and it wasn't a dumb thunk. It was a common sense thunk on top of it.
Yes.
Like, this is not the Nintendo we know. We need to have them inspected to make sure they're not imposters. Because nobody at Nintendo would make a sane business decision like this. This isn't Nintendo.
So yeah, it's fine. These aren't in the initial pack of 5 though. So if that money you threw out for the Get All Fighters pass doesn't apply to them.
Yeah.
Which
But
I think is
still.
fine. Like the pass is what, $20?
Yeah, it was $20 for 5 meaty chunks of DLC for a fighting game, relatively speaking.
Mhm.
So, and you got all the music and stages associated with them as well. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
For a fighting game, that is not the worst I don't like microtransactions, but in the environment we're in, where you just kind of gotta adapt to this and roll with the punches. I can roll with it.
Yeah. Like
Pretty
there's
big, but I
fair
believe.
and then there's E EA.
Well, EA is a monster in human clothing.
They're not even worrying about the clothing anymore. Because they just put the head of FIFA in charge of everything. See that segue?
eBay is a monster in third world ball clothing.
Yeah. So that was the whole news article, is just, yeah, that guy.
It's just don't buy EA games for a while, folks.
Nice. So I hope you like every AAA game made by EA being a gacha,
Yeah. Have fun with that.
because that's where we're headed.
I'm not touching any EA game until it's proved itself for a month on the market, and I'm sure they're not going to add them later.
Just a month.
That seems to be the fairly safe time when you can poke your nose back in. But that's the timeline they've been trying, right? A lot of companies have been experimenting with no microtransactions at the start, but later down the line, and we have Modern Warfare and Crash Bandicoot to thank me from Activision for bringing this practice to my spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Where oh, by the way, you don't actually have to do any work if you don't want to, and none of that effort you put in matters because somebody who has a daddy with a whole lot of money in his credit card got it for free.
Yeah. See, people are
and
starting to wise up to microtransactions in games, and when people are buying games, they'll look for the ESRB marker, as well as the reviews. So this is just a way of tricking people and getting around it.
Yeah, it's just people had gotten savvy enough and fed up enough with microtransactions and some of their more egregious forms for it to be impacting sales, not even really hurting them. Like having them in your game over not having them still is a huge net gain for your company as a profit. But it was starting to get you some bad PR that could come down the line. So the companies tried to get sneaky because these people in these companies are dinosaurs and don't understand humans.
Not just bad PR though, because everybody's now sort of on tenterhooks because the government might intervene. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. There've been a lot of countries of their governments already have intervened to sabotage a lot of major money makers from microtransactions. And they need to be positioned to adapt to the loopholes that may open up in various countries and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I am. If you haven't guessed my political preferences by now, you're dumb. But in general, it's very scary whenever the government intervenes in anything. But what gets me about loot boxes, and I mentioned this on the show before, we already have laws that loot boxes clearly fall under in every country that are just ignored. Not through even Weaselly language. They just, for some reason, don't apply to these things in loot boxes because dinosaurs don't understand video games.
Usually it's just through some technicality or wording.
Yeah,
surprise mechanics.
Surprise! Oh, good grief, that was cringy.
Surprise mechanics.
Well, I mean, the argument is always going to be, well, it's the same thing as buying a booster pack. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Do we have anything else?
Do we have anything else? Let's see. No, unless you want to talk about the completely obvious outcome of the Pokemon Go lawsuits.
A settlement? Yeah.
The lawyers made lots of money.
The lawyers made tons of money from the trespassing class action. This thing was 4 years in the making. Nobody plays Pokemon Go anymore. And everyone who participated will get $1,000.
And that's the 13 named dudes.
And
everybody else gets nothing.
They get squat.
You know how much? I've been listening to Nick's show for months. You know how much $1,000 gets you?
Nothing.
Take a guess. It gets you, if it's Ty Beard talking about best lawyer in Texas, in air quotes. You get him for 2.5 hours.
Yep.
He charges $400 an hour.
That's your lawyer's costs.
Yeah. If you take a normal lawyer cost, that's enough for 5.5 hours. They charge a little over $200 an hour.
Mm-hmm. So for all of that effort, you get nothing.
You actually lost.
You lost.
Lawyers did well. I should have become a lawyer. I can draft better than those guys, apparently.
If I can argue better than most lawyers can. I can't draft for crap though. You want to start a firm? We can go.
I think that you need some kind of credentials though.
It's okay. We can go to school for it. You can come up to Atlanta. We'll go to school and study it.
I'd probably get bored halfway through a law school class.
I love actually. The most fun part of Nick's streams have been learning how the law's intricacies work,
and then watching judges ignore them.
Yes.
Foreshadowing. Not talking about that yet, because my feelings also need to settle on it, and I don't trust myself with them right now.
That's fair.
I don't have a very high opinion of the legal system already. Like, pretty shonky in New Zealand, so...
Yeah, it's not a whole lot better in Australia.
Especially if you live in Victoria.
That goes triple if you live in Victoria.
Yeah, give it a couple weeks to settle and give the Twitter and the farms and everywhere else that's being talked about some time to marinate and chill out. and have some level heads speak on the issue, and then we can have a rational discussion about what happened. But not right now. Right now is a bad time to even try to think about what happened because it's just a bunch of spurgs spurging out.
Yeah, it's the way these things usually go.
This is the internet after all.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is in this particular instance, it was Twitter and Kiwi Farms that were the most active participants on opposing sides.
It's like, if you're looking for common sense and level-headedness, I think you may need to find a new universe.
Yeah, those particular two clusters of people going at each other are about the most unprofessional thing you could ever think of.
Mm-hmm.
Level heads are not in existence in their world.
It just don't happen.
Yeah, it just don't.
All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think I've got anything.
All right.
Alrighty, folks. I can't think of anything because I was so busy this week, and the little bit of time I did have, I was playing World of Warcraft. That feels so wrong to say.
I know,
That
right?
You swore off of it, and now they've dragged you back in.
I'm going to play the lawyer here and say this is WoW Classic, not World of Warcraft.
You've got a subscription to World of Warcraft.
I do. But I don't have it installed on my computer.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Shoot me now.
Before you spread the contagion.
You fool.
Like it isn't going to be long before these two cave because I'm jabbering about it all the time. The power of jabber is unbelievable.
Not if you're jabbering about Alliance, it's not.
Ask Mr. T.
What?
Wow, I just aged myself again. Let's get out of here.
I don't even remember which of his roles that was from. Although he used it a lot out of character as well.
He did. That was from 18. Well, it's pretty much just Mr. T, really.
It's B.A. Baracus.
There you go.
When did the A-Team come out?
No, don't look that up. Just no.
3 years before I was born.
Yep.
There's something that's still older.
Okay, that's enough. Do the thing, Ari.
Email topic of the week. Why are you old? Why can't we stop aging? Please send us a cure for this problem. Make time stop. Please, K. Thanks, signed Ari. All right, closing comments go.
I'm old.
I'm old. And I'm still going on vacations with the family because of stupid traditions.
Wow, I see there's a bench that has microtransactions.
Hold on, what now?
It's a bench. Presumably it's meant to stop homeless people from sleeping on it, but it has spikes on it. And I guess you put money in the slot or something, and the spikes retract, and you can sit on the bench for a while.
I've heard about these.
That seems excessively ruthless.
Yeah, it's got a coin slot, and there are big spikes on it. And I'm watching the guy. He puts the coin in, and the spikes retract very slowly and noisily, and then you sit down on it.
So
you
what
can't have it
happens
pop up,
when the coin runs out? You just get poked.
It's allegedly an art installation, according to this thing here. But, and after a while, you're sitting down, it will start to beep, and then you get up, and the spikes come up. Presumably, they come up regardless of whether or not you're still sitting on it. So
you'd better move.
If it's to deter homeless people, I can just oh no, there's gonna be homeless people with holes in their butts everywhere now. I'm gonna try and sleep on it, and it's just gonna spring up lightning fast because it totally doesn't have any safety features on it because it's an art project.
One of the people that
go right up their butts.
One of the people that I follow on the Twitter says that he feels they could have worked in QuickTime events. Like the spikes go in and out, and you have to pay at the precise moment that it was down.
Oh.
That's a good city alternative if you're going to take this route. Here's what to do. To make sure homeless people can't sleep on them, you have to be awake and play a mini game on the bench to keep it from poking holes in your pipe.
Just wow.
Just don't even make them pay money. Just put like Peggle or something on the screen. And if
The
they
dystopia
can't-
is now.
The dystopia is real. Just wow.
Right, we were closing the show. Let's get on with it.
All right. Golly, what are we even doing with our lives? We'll see. We'll see you next week, folks. Sayonara. Bye.